Find out next time on Old Dudes Played Video Games, the podcast. This is the Imperial Skulls of Honor podcast. I'm Josh Folan.
And I'm Jay Baxtron.
And we are going to be bullshitting about the 400 years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. Today we are wishing upon a star and the compile-developed, Sega-published 1990 release of Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse, for the Sega Genesis. Emulation disclosure, so you know the tools with which we undertook this. I jammed on my game via emulation, the Genesis Plus GX Core and RetroArch, and with my OG Sega brand 6-button arcade stick piped in like an absolute baller. Jay, how did you play?
Wow, I was prepared to say I played it the exact same way, but I absolutely did not. I also emulated it through my PC via Kega Fusion using the 6-button Sega Genesis controller,
like the handheld one. Yep.
Yeah, man.
No, dude.
Stick.
I was glad. There was definitely times where I was glad I had the arcade stick for sure. It was
really?
it felt like a very arcade sure. type experience, you know. And obviously all action platformers kind of do, but I felt this one had an elevated sense of so. Please rate and review the podcast, be part of the ISOH movement, give us validation on your podcast platform of choice in the form of a rating or review, and we will read it here on the pod and talk about it and feel great about ourselves, and the world will be a better place. Jay, what are you jamming on now?
So, the first thing is Starfield. I mean, it's funny because the last time we spoke, I thought I was near the end. I was like, yep, I'm going on the end march. Man, I've played so much since then. I was nowhere near it. I apparently I've done so much side questing, which makes me more impressed with this game that I was so into the side quest storylines that I just spent. I'm 100 hours in. I calculated my time just now. I'm 100 hours and 25 minutes in, and I'm now going on the end game. I think because stuff has changed and it's kind of different now, and so I've got to be like.
That's how Bethesda rolls.
But man, it's good. It's good. But it's funny. I even went back. No spoilers, don't worry. I went back to a save from over 3 hours earlier because I was so against the outcome and I was sure I can change it, which I did. And I've never played a game that I was just, stuff happens and you might rewind because I got hurt and I died. Just because I don't want to not die.
A major plot point that you're way past, yeah.
Yeah, but this is kind of just like something happened, and I was just kind of rolling with it, and I'm like, wait a minute. What? I am not happy here. What? Can I change this? I felt like Doctor Strange in the MCU, I got to rewind time and go back and fix the situation.
I applaud your saving system / protocol to be able to, calculate and still have the save for a place that was far enough back to accomplish that, but not so far back you didn't want to just throw the game against the fucking wall.
Trust me, I was concerned. I was very concerned when I went to look at the list of saves. I was like, because it was 3.5 hours prior, and then 12 hours prior, and I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. So it's kind of like how committed to this changing of the story am I? But then I realized, if I go forward and if there's any chance that my game continues when I do New Game Plus and things like that, I would like this thing to be different. And so I was able to go back, make some different choices, or make one different choice actually aggressively, be way more aggressive than I thought I was allowed to be. And that changed the whole outcome of things. And so I'm very happy with that, and I found that very cool at the same time. Almost like a choose your own adventure that I didn't know existed in this game.
Sure.
So good stuff, man. Good stuff. So now it really does feel, like I said, it really does feel like I'm near the end of the campaign now. I don't know what that looks like, but because crazy stuff's still happening. I know there's a couple shiny things I need to go grab still, but it's still having a blast with it when I have the time.
Word.
And then man, Halo Infinite. I got a screenshot of myself behind me because I think the armor is freaking cool. This game is legit now. I know I practically have always played it since it's come out because I played Halo 5 for, the PvP regularly. That's kind of always been my thing.
Looks so foreign to me.
Oh, man, yeah. I'm not surprised. But, I mean, since beating this campaign, I only do the PvP when I play, but they have added so much, man, from different armor sets to swappable combinations, finally, to all the different armor sets, to the Forge, which is this community-made maps, which is so fascinating, to like this new Halo 3 refueled map. So it's these like Halo 3 basically, but like brand new and refurbished in the game. And so you have like, it just seems like there's always new stuff, which makes me excited to come back regularly, which I would have never thought about.
As long as they embrace fucking user generated stuff like that, dude. Yeah, it never. I mean, look, Doom 2, man, it's still there,
dude.
There's new. There's something new today, right now. There's something cool and new right now that just came out. If that's the terminology you want to use. Yeah, man, fucking.
That's the best, man. It's so good. Like
yeah,
I can't. Yeah,
games that don't do it. Like, I mean, I don't even play these PvP shooter things anymore, yeah. But. So I don't know, like Fortnite, does Fortnite do that? Do they not? They have to, right? They have to. Anyone who does, like, you have to be a fucking moron to not look at that model, the Doom 2 model, I'm saying, from fucking 30 years ago and go, that is how you keep people invested, is allow them to put their, to play with the clay themselves.
And the fact that they can do it on console now, right? Because like you've always been able to mod stuff on your own in the PC community. So the fact that you can do it cross-platform too, I think is a huge draw. Like people talked about it. And I'd never done the Forge on prior Halo versions. And so seeing it kind of come to fruition and kind of jumping in to see these different, I can see the draw, and I could totally, I love freaking Halo. I try to tell people all the time. I got to text my little brother like, yo, we got to get back into it, man. Like, let's go. The only thing that would make this game a 10 out of 10 for me right now would be if they had some raid style co-op stuff where like me, you, whoever could go, destroy the hordes together. Like that would be the only thing that would make this just like
they don't have a co-op thing on that.
I mean, no, not that I'm aware of.
Crazy. Also, yeah,
not that I'm aware of. Yeah,
that's wild to me. I guess
I know that it was in the
maybe
works
that's
for
their
time.
brand or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm still exploring. Stuff is still popping out. You never know. All kind of new stuff comes out, like I said, all the time now. That I probably need to even check that side out just to make sure.
Word. Be careful, you get into that fucking that level creation stuff, dude. It's a fucking rabbit hole.
Right. I only have so much time.
So much time. That's what you think.
But when I jump on levels and I get annoyed and I hate levels, then I'm like, you know what? I could make this better. Like if they just had like a plank right here and some stuff right here, this would make this level so much better.
That's fun, dude. I mean, I like that. Never even with I think I have like a vague memory of it was Doom, Quake, or one of those 90s PC ones, fucking with the level editor a little bit and like kind of whatever, and it just being like, I don't know, man. It's so funny to me that I was so into programming at one point, and then when it really gets into minutia, I just like gloss over with it, dude. Like I just can't stick with it when it gets into like I have to like really tedious repetitious programming type stuff. I gloss over a little bit, and it had something like it felt a little like that when I started getting into level editors. But that was why Mario Maker was such a splash for me, because I was like, it's like you're just copying pasting your ideas basically. There's no UI friction at all, which was really cool. So I don't know how they do it for this, but it's if they, and that's what I hear about Unity and stuff is that it, from a programming at a relative to traditional programming, it's so much easier that much more interact or much less steep of a grade to get into it, So I would imagine we're in 2023, their level editor for Halo is better than the Doom 2 one.
I could totally see myself getting into it, man. It is like, I think that's also the thing, because my kids playing with them in so many of these sandbox type of games where you're creating stuff and you're basically building levels and things, but it's more sandboxy. to be able to kind of do that with a purpose of like, hey, we're going to fight here afterwards.
Right.
Like I think I could get into it, you know. I feel like I'm much more apt to do that now because of all those experiences with the kids and because I'm doing that anyway, whether it's Minecraft or pick a game.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, that has been my unfortunate all that I've been able to play. Not been able to get into the backlog yet.
Okay. I am cooking along on a lot of this new Quest stuff, dude. I imagine we've talked about it, and because they remastered it for VR, and it's been like I've heard about it nonstop for probably at least a year, maybe longer. But the Power Wash Simulator as a flat screen game, this is like, and I know, dude, I'm telling you, I mean, I heard so much about it that I was like, it's just got to be good. Like, just literally everyone's just like, it's so fucking addicting. It's so like, so when I heard it was hitting for VR, I was like, I'm gonna check it out for sure. Dude, I think I have found my religion.
Great.
I think I have found my religion. It's
great.
Nuts. The whole time, I mean, I played it so much now, the past couple of weeks, that I guess maybe I'm kind of getting over this. But like for the first week, solid. The whole time I'm just like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, I don't want to stop at all, but I cannot believe this is what I'm doing. And I got Amy to download it. Bro, she's on some like Dr. Mario type shit with this thing. She won't put it down. She's like, she'll put on her headset. She has like 5 minutes supposedly, and then like an hour later, she's still doing it, neglecting whatever the fuck she was supposed to do. She is like, it is so addicting and so satisfying. I cannot even explain it, dude. It is unreal, and it's so simple. I mean, do you know anything? I mean,
dude, of course. You got to remember, this was on
right.
So this was on Game Pass, so I've talked about it at work. Like, this has been like a whole, yeah. I'm very familiar with this game.
Okay,
yeah,
dude, in fucking VR, man.
I know the idea. When I first heard of it, everything that you're saying is all the same feelings and stuff I experienced. Like, what are we even talking about? And then it's just like, yeah, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, I get it. It's so good. It's so good, and it's so they can just. I can't believe. And I don't know, maybe I'm sure they do. Guys have flat screen stuff, but whatever. I haven't cleaned everything that came with the game yet. I've cleaned a lot of shit, but I haven't cleaned everything. So it's so modular that it's endless content, and it's not about. I mean, it is cool what it is. Like when there's like the career mode, whatever, and you're cleaning like stuff in neighborhoods and shit. Like you're like a cleaning business, your van's always parked out front and shit, and that's a little more kind of normal stuff. But there's like a bonus section, like I found that when I first got it, like one of the first things I cleaned was the Mars rover, and so anything, it's cool. You can do anything with it. You can clean anything anywhere, and it's just modeling the space and the object, and then it's the same fucking game loop over and over. Because there's like, I don't know, it's such a brilliant idea in that regard from like a business perspective, because it is endless content that you can sell people, and I'll buy it. I'll buy it all. I'll just it's like walkabout mini golf. Like you don't have to explain it. Just send me the link, and I can Venmo you if that's quicker. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like there's just no impediment to, yes, I'll buy it, whatever. Just give it to me. Yeah, I want all of them. Give them all to me. I will do them all. There's no question in my mind that I want it. There's no question in my mind that I want it. It's fucking nuts, dude. It is.
I'll watch all the things. Give me all the things to watch.
And so it is. So you co-op. We co-op. We sit and like it's a little. I mean, I guess I kind of understand because it'll fuck up the career mode. But like, it's a little fucked in that you can't progress. There's like a star system that opens up new washers and shit. Like, who cares? But you do see the difference in their performance, so you do want them. I shouldn't say who cares. You can buy like little, I mean, this, I guess, but for listeners, you can buy like different cleaning solutions that more quickly dissipate the harder stuff on certain types of surfaces and shit. And there's like extensions for your washer so you can wash stuff further away. It's unreal, dude. It's unreal.
Welcome to the cleaning.
Yeah, different nozzles that spray the shit at different fucking angles. You gotta
have different nozzles, man.
Right. Yeah,
be able to spray different surfaces and different angles.
Yeah, and yeah, dude, like I had to clean this helicopter at the firehouse last night, and there's like crazy stuff. Like you had to fucking, to definitely used a bunch of different nozzles, and like I didn't even. So each level they give you a step ladder, a real ladder, like an extension ladder, and then there's scaffolding. And I just assumed the scaffolding was like, for the first, I don't know, however many times I played it, I thought the scaffolding was just like set deck that
Oh, really?
Didn't have a purpose, And like, we were cleaning like a fucking cottage in the woods or something. I was like, there's no way to get to that with this. The ladders are terrible too. That's honestly my biggest bitch about the game is the step ladder is simple enough. Obviously you just stand on the top of it, but the other ladder is fucked up. You can like warp to different rungs on it, and like it works very poorly. That's literally the only thing I have bad to say about it. Probably is that the ladder sucks, and there's a lot of things where it would be nice if that ladder worked better. But so yeah, and the ladder wasn't getting done whatever it get done, and I was like, I think I accidentally picked up the scaffolding. And like it's this huge thing, and then you're just moving it around. I'm like, holy shit, that's a tool. Oh my god! And like, fucking then you put the scaffolding wherever you want, and then like it's got, you literally got to like just go up the stairs. It's like 3 or 4 levels of scaffolding, right. And then you have different angles on shit. Yeah, it's god, dude, it's so, and like the whole time you're just like, can't stop. We were power washing until like 12:30 last night. I knew I had to get up early.
What?
I did not want to be power washing until 12:30, but I had to finish that fucking helicopter. And it's like, dude, Avi and I are calling it our second jobs. We like, she gets home from work and all she wants to do is start her second job.
Wow.
The whole time she's at work, she's just texting me, like, I want to be power washing right now. Like it is so fucking addicting, dude. Yeah. And yeah, in the co-op thing, you're like, you can like, and you have your career mode, and you can invite someone. Even says like your cleaning assistant, like you can invite an assistant, and you send an invite, and then it pops up in their UI on Quest, and fucking go, and they come into your thing, and then you're both cleaning this thing together, and it's like, it's just such a perfect game because it's minutia. You can easily miss like a little spot or something, and then like, so you'll finish everything you think. And then there's a list you can pull up, and you see what percentage of things are done. And if something's not done, it shows you what it is. So you at least have some idea where to start. And then you can go around with your power washer and point at things, and you can see the actual meter on that specific item. So even if there's multiple things on the list or multiple instances of the line item on the list, you can go around and check which one it is, and then search that for something that's not clean. But you're like, you start a building, like one person goes one way, the other goes the other, and then you think you're done, and then like, oh, some shit's not done at the end, and you're like, whose fault it is. So it's like you're like, you fucking didn't clean this right. You're like bitching at each other, like, what the fuck? Like this half-ass clean job, fucking this window's not done. Like what the fuck? Yeah, it's so good, dude. It is such a brilliant product. It's crazy. It is so good.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because when I first heard of it, I was like, what is this? Like, what are we talking about? Like, this is so dumb. And then by the end, I'm like looking at my back patio, like, I should get a power washer.
Oh yeah, in real life, dude. In real life,
yes.
Like my fucking car. I washed my car for the first time in Joshua Tree last week, and I washed my car for the first time in forever. Get back, it fucking rains. Of course, it's amazing that's not just a saying. It really happens in life. It's crazy. But like 2 days later, it rains. It never rains in LA. If you didn't know that, by the way, never rains, and it rains right after I get my car washed after like 4 months. But and then like I'm looking and I'm like, and it's obviously I'm not gonna buy a power washer. I'm not gonna wash. It's a garage. It's not really even a possible thing. But I'm looking at it, thinking to myself, like, I'm just like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I'm thinking about doing the motion with the thing in the game on my car. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. Just looking at it. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, it is. It's a whole fucking vibe, dude. It's crazy. It's a wild game. So, been playing a lot of that, as that fucking sermon might suggest. I'm also can't stop playing Dungeons of Eternity. Because of its procedurally generated nature of gameplay, I don't think I'll ever get tired of it. Like, it's, as long as I got 15, 20 minutes to work with, like, it's so bite-sized and it's so fucking fun. I just don't see how I'd ever get tired of it. I guess once I expend, but same thing. I mean, they can just keep pumping new items to find new gear and stuff like any of these fucking games to keep you coming back, because that's really all you're working towards. There is like a perk system too that you're trying to find points for and shit, but generally speaking, it's there's no like narrative you're working through or anything. So yeah, it's fucking incredible. And I am fucking myself up playing this game. When we were in Joshua Tree, I smashed my hand on the fireplace, swinging a fucking sword at something. And then I was honestly, dude, I am not joking. A few nights ago, maybe 2 or 3 days ago, it still hurts. But it's getting better. I don't think I did. But at the day of, I was icing and shit. I was sure I broke my toe kicking this goddamn dining room table or this living room table here.
Oh no!
Playing this game, yeah, dude. Because it is, dude. It is just too immersive. It is too fucking immersive, and there's shit coming in from everywhere. And you got a bow and arrow. You got 2 fucking melee weapons. You can use a shield instead of the bow and arrow if you want. And like, it is just too immersive. So, I mean, unless you have like a completely safe space, which I unfortunately have not. Even at that, Joshua Tree, we had a huge house, huge room, but I didn't, I don't know that space, and there's like I didn't have my guardian set safe enough, basically, and I just got too close to the edge, and I didn't notice because I was fucking fighting some undead shit, and just, dude, hard as fuck. Like, it's amazing how charged up you get, too, because I was just like, fucking wham with the sword, and like, oh my god, dude, just like smashed my hand on this fucking brick thing underneath the TV. Unreal, dude. So, yeah. So good though, dude. You gotta fucking get it. You gotta get it. It's only like $22 or something.
It's $33. I'm looking. I'm actually trying to confirm.
I know
right now. I'm like 33.
Right, but you use the code, get the 25% off, dude. The referral fee or the referral thing, and then yeah, I've been posting. I got like $100 in free buying power now because I'm fucking posting those fucking. Yeah, like I said, dude, we're so stupid for not having used those to date. I know we did the headset referral, but so yeah, I posted on the thing that my buddy Bungard just bought a headset. I convinced him to buy one, and he's fucking bought like every game that I have damn near because I've talked them all up to him. So getting a bunch from him too. But there's this Facebook page. That's like, it's basically the whole purpose of it is to share codes, because that's the whole thing. When you can only share the code a certain number of times before that particular game no longer gets the person 25%, it becomes 10. And so everyone's always looking for new codes, you know what I mean? So this Facebook page allows you to share the codes there, and everyone's obviously constantly producing that you can search it. It's a Facebook page, as anyone knows how those works. So everyone does know how those work. So you can just
search
for the game you want, and then someone's that they just posted a code will be there, and you can use it and get the 25% whenever you need it, basically. So I will occasionally post a new code once or twice a day. Post a new code on there with my referral. Or post one of my codes for one of the games and just make sure the name of the game is in the text that you use. Maybe something witty too. And people are using them. So yeah, I'm just getting, and like the shit hits your app. It shows you're getting it, and it takes 14 days to like clear, to make sure they don't return the game is probably the chief function of that. But once the 14 days is up, you just click redeem and it's $5 in your account. So yeah, I mean, I don't foresee I'll be paying for many games. And I could have been doing that already because I've certainly spent a shit ton of money. So, but either way, in this one instance, yeah, it's 25% off. And dude, I mean, yeah, a $33 game will be fucking 20. I guess if it's 33,
it's 24 with tax.
Right? Yeah.
Okay,
so
I can tell you that.
yeah. So yeah, way.
All right. You got me sold,
It's and that is co-op.
So,
You're doing like 3-person dungeon runs
because I want to do that. That is what I want to do.
It's so fucking good, dude. It's so funny. Obviously, we're on mic and like every time a new player and like the whole time you're doing a dungeon run with someone who is relatively new, they're just like saying it to themselves like, this is so good. they're like in the middle of playing, they just won't stop saying it like, this is so good. I'm like, I know, man, I know. It's just fucking so much fun, and it's so good. Playing those two games, between those two, it's pretty much the bulk of what I'm playing. I have on occasion jumped back into Demio Battles. It's good, dude. And it's a completely different game, dude. It is the strategy elements, like even the cards that you use, they might be the same card, but the application of them in that setting is completely different. It's obviously a human being knows how to interact with that thing you're doing or counteract that thing you're doing completely different than a dumbass AI does. So it's really, I mean, I played a few games the other night. Went pretty well for the first few, and then I got my ass fucking humbled by this dude that made me realize I have a ton to learn in that.
Really?
It was like a one-on-one thing. We didn't get a second person for whatever. So I guess sometimes that will happen with the quick play. There won't be enough people for 4, so it'll just match you to 1, and you have to control both of your characters. And that dude fucking trounced me. And like there were a few things I said. I was like, I didn't fucking know that worked that way. He's like, yeah, that's definitely how it works. He was like super.
Like,
I don't know.
I learned that already.
Yeah, he was like super cold about it, which good for him. So that's a good game. It was good that they made that. I think all the shit I talked about initially. I still want another fucking map for the base game more, but it's a good game for sure.
Nice.
And then I've been playing 7th Guest for a while. I finished that the other night, so I got that off my plate. And it's like there's not a shit ton to say. I mean, it's cool. It's like I'll forever speak highly of it to anyone who would enjoy this kind of like very relaxed, atmospheric, spooky puzzle game, because that's all it is. It is just puzzles. There's some good ones, very fucking challenging for sure. And if you're into that kind of like super relaxed experience, it's a good game that I would recommend for sure. And then the last thing, I don't even have it yet, but I just want to say this to you. Are you aware there's Assassin's Creed on VR now?
Okay. Okay. So I must admit to you and anybody who's listening right now, because we talked about Dungeons of Eternity and you mentioned that, and I looked at the code because I was like, all right, let me see if I can claim the code now really quick while we're talking about it. The first thing that popped up was Assassin's Creed VR, and I was like,
I don't have it yet, but people are like, it's fucking dope, dude.
I spaced out whatever you were saying for like 10 seconds. I was just staring at it like, I have got to check. I got to look into this immediately. Are you kidding me?
And it's built.
Are you kidding me?
It's not. What? It's not just a mod too. It's a port rather. It's built from the ground up for VR. So it, they're embracing all the shit, all the capabilities. I guess is the best way to say that. And yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. So yeah, that's on my to-do. Like I said, I've never played an Assassin's Creed, so it doesn't mean much to me as a thing. But I mean, that kind of, you're doing ninja shit, so that's ninja shit in VR, like no brainer. It's a no brainer.
You like doing stealth?
Yeah, VR. Yeah, VR options and VR are ninja options rather than VR is a no brainer. So. That's definitely on my to-do list, and I look forward to only paying 75% of the $40 cost. That's exciting to me.
Deeper into the forest. Oh, sorry, let me say that again. That is Deeper into the Dark Forest. Door 3 from Castle of the Illusion.
The search is on Mickey's on the trail of a wicked witch named Mizrabel, who has kidnapped Minnie. Mickey must find 7 gems to save Minnie. Run, leap, and bounce with Mickey, slinging apples and marbles at enemies. Then get ready to challenge your most dangerous foe, Witch Mizrabel herself. And that is from the back of the box. The manual has a much more in-depth 2-page setup with dialogue of Mickey and Mizrabel's exchanges and everything, like actual dialogue between the two of them. So if you really want to know the story of this game, that's the place to go for a more expounded upon version of it. Jay, what are we playing here, buddy?
This is a good old-fashioned side-scrolling platformer. I mean, that's exactly what it is, and you gotta love it for it. I mean, spoiler alert, it does it well.
It does, for sure. It was, spoiler alert, indeed. It's just a good game. It hit in Japan on the ultra-specific date of November 21st, 1990. For the U.S. release, we only have the year, but there was some indications of it being very close to the same, so around Christmas time-ish in 1990. And the cover art is a full-fledged Disney illustration happening on the front there for at least Mickey's likeness, and on it's got the classic early Genesis black thatch background that I love so much. There's a witch in front of the full moon on this. It kind of looks like a stock Halloween decoration more than like Mizrabel or anything that's in the story. Yeah. And it's just a silhouette, a black silhouette.
Yep.
And then the spooky tree there could, I would say, maybe exist in a Disney flick. It's like,
yeah, it's got a face. You can tell it's going to start talking to you or scaring you or something.
Right? Yeah, talk some shit maybe. And then there's an ominous castle that I would say definitely would not be in Disney shit though on the cover. The one in the game feels Disney-ish to me, but the one on the cover does not, I would say.
The one on the cover is kind of funny because like right in front of it, it almost looks like where it looks like it's kind of a bat figure. The horns make me think of darn, I just lost the name of it. The horned woman in Disney. What's her name? Oh, with the big.
Which story are we talking
about? She has like Lilith horns. Oh man, why is it stuck? You do that like 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later. Meme.
Which you can't remember which.
No, it's like, is it Sleeping Beauty? No, she's like
Sleeping Beauty. No,
because she has wings too. That's why this looks like her. What is the fuck? Angelina Jolie played her in the film. You know what I'm talking about?
She was the one. That was the one that was Sleeping Beauty. I think it was like a real dark.
Yeah, and it was
live
good
action.
Too.
Yeah, it was actually. That actually was good. I recall that.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Not being a bad movie.
It's Maleficent. Thank you.
Okay.
Maleficent. That
is Sleeping Beauty though, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that is this underlying.
So that's why this looks like a Maleficent, like because of the wings and the horns, looks like a mini Maleficent in front of the castle. So I'm like, what? We just pulling from fairy tales. That's why the witch feels like a different witch in the cover.
Okay. That's perhaps. No telling with 1990 Sega or Genesis or video game developers in general. Sega also though for sure. On the back, they have the blurb I just read in 5 different languages, so they really expect this to stretch across borders, and they're also trying to maximize the printing job efficiency, like the printing costs, I should say. And then there's 4 screenshots back there as well. The manual is 16 black and white pages with colored covers, typical Genesis approach there. Pages 4, 5, 6 are take control, and there's a handful of things in here that are worth mentioning. One of the many start button functions listed is press to get Mickey through a castle door more quickly. And I wasn't sure exactly what that mean, but I hoped I would remember to enact it. I like doing things quickly, so that was getting into it. Did you ever try to skip through those interstitials at the castle?
I mean,
whenever
there was a door, I definitely walked up to it and hit it to try to go through.
Sure. Well, no, that's automatic though. But I'm saying you can what that it's for is you can actually speed through that. We'll talk about it when we get there. But it's fucking weird. It's just a weird function. We'll talk about it when we get to controls. But it's when we get to it in the game rather. But it's a little goofy. I was curious if you remember to fuck.
Yeah, I didn't really try to skip through the scenes by pressing start, though.
Sure. Yeah, I only did it just because we're playing the game, so I want to see all the shit so I can talk about it. But like, I literally, because I saw this in the manual, I was like, I want to know what the fuck that's about. So I fucked it a little, and yeah, it's a really weird mechanic, I think. The jump button has depression link sensitivity, so you have control of your jump height in the game, and that is always a good thing for an action platformer. There's a bounce attack that you can do in midair over an enemy. Hitting the jump button, again, catalyzes that, and I was expecting that to be akin to modern Mario's pound attack, and only kinda, I would say, in actual hindsight. Page 7 lays out the differences between the 3 difficulty settings. You can toggle on the options menu, and those go practice, normal, and hard. And the way they describe these, on practice, Mickey starts with 5 power spheres to search 3 levels and find 3 gems. And without having played the game, too, this is funny to me. Like, they give this to you, and like the manual is like, this means nothing to me. and then normal, you start levels with 3 power spheres for all 5 levels and must score 7 gems. And then hard, you get 2 power spheres at the start of a level, same level count, and the gem expectations are the same as well. And yeah, I finished this and I was thinking to myself, what the fuck are power spheres? Like, what the fuck? They don't explain what those are, really, here. And then game flow and structure are explained on pages 8 and 9. And power spheres they make up the power gauge, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, he has a power gauge in the HUD, and they explain that every time he gets bonked, and I love that terminology
right.
choice. Yeah. He loses some of that, and then he when it's gone, he loses a try, and that's because no one dies in Disney except Bambi's mom. They mention here in practice and normal practice and normal difficulty settings, Mickey keeps any accumulated items on the post-death restart, but in hard mode, he does not. So that's a big thing, too. You don't keep any of the ammunition.
Your apples and things, yeah.
And you start each level with 3 tries, i.e. lives. So it's, pretty forgiving, I would say, relative to most games. But it's not easy in the levels, so, it may actually be properly balanced. Like the Sega Vision's thing was saying, it's not kid glovesy in their opinion, and I would say it did never. I was definitely not like, if I would have been safe scumming, I probably would have ran out of continues. I would think.
You think so?
Yeah. So it's not easy. Yeah. If you couldn't no saving at all, you were entirely relying on restarting. Are you suggesting you wouldn't have? I think you're warping the facts.
I don't think so, man. I mean, I don't know. There was only, we'll get to them, but there was only like 2 parts that I was like, oh, I'm going to redo that, or I'm going to keep trying to do that. Like for the most part, it was kind of, I don't know. Yeah, kind of a simple platformer for the most part.
With the way I like trying to redo everything and fucking so I can parse minutia from it. Like, it's hard to gauge what any of these game experiences would be like if I was really just trying to chug. But I don't think there are definitely some parts that were a little tougher. These old platformers always throw those moments of unexpected shit at you too. Where you just didn't know that was going to happen, and you're going to die for that reason, just because you haven't seen this mechanic yet. So there's all those instances too. So you factor those in. I just don't see how. But anyways,
see that.
Practice and normal modes do have continues, and the practice has 4, normal has 2, hard mode offers zilch on that front. So that is
no thanks for the hard mode. I'll pass on that. I would definitely need continues.
Yeah,
definitely.
The item breakdown is on page 10. Stars is one of the things here, and these replenish Mickey's power gauge. And if at full power, they give you 1,000 points instead. And there are mouse ears; those are an extra life. And you get, within the gameplay, like the point system, you get a bonus life at your first 40k milestone, and then every 50k thereafter, you get another one. So I would say, and again, safe scumming, so I don't think I probably employed a continue in actuality to reset this, assuming that it does reset. I don't know for sure. But I think I want to say I got into like between like 160 and 2, so I probably had 2 of those playing through the game, 2 on top of the initial 40, so 3, I guess, total extra lives from scoring. So that's kind of how it works out over the course of the game. Then we have our projectiles that we pick up. There are apples, marbles, and candles, and I didn't say it here, but you'll learn that these are specific to the like whatever stage you're in has a set ammunition type. You don't like toggle through these by picking them up at different parts in different stages or in individual stages. You know, stage 1 has all apples. It's so on and so forth. There are bags of items, and these are like fucking Dungeons and Dragons bags of holding, basically, is what these are. They hold 10 items, like 10 bullets, basically, as opposed to the individual bullet pickups you'll get. And these will only stack to 20. So you can't... You can get more than 20 ammunition, up to 30, I think. But you can only go past 20 with individual ammunition pickups. If that makes sense.
It does. It definitely. Oddly, but yes, it does.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand it in the practice.
Right. Pages 11 through 13 provide a level breakdown with a solid blurb and a screenshot. We'll fire off all these as we enter them in the gameplay. And then there is a hint and very abridged 3-entry scorebook part here on page 14 to close this out. The hints go as follows. Bounce as much as you can to wipe out enemies. Be grabby. You'll need all the items you can get. Learn how all the different guardians move. Remember, you can't throw things while swimming. Reach high places by bouncing off enemies' heads. Learn to duck. That second to last one is probably a worthwhile piece of information because you do have to... there were a few instances where like I was trying to do something and I couldn't figure it out until I remembered to do that. So that is a helpful one. The rest of this is useless.
Oh yeah, I mean ducking is helpful. I would say ducking is helpful, but for sure.
Yeah, but I mean,
there were times where I'm like, I gotta
fuck?
Find the dude to walk by to bounce on his head to get up.
Yeah, everyone knows to duck. Yeah, no, ducking is helpful, but I don't think I need to be reminded to duck.
Well, I'm only saying because certain games you can't duck. So,
Sure.
Like, I think at this time I'm probably gonna duck. You're probably right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna think to try for sure. And I read the rest of the manual. It's not like they don't tell you can't duck earlier.
Sure.
I suppose leaning on it though. I don't know though. Even honestly, I guess if you really want to fucking dice that up, like there weren't a lot of times where like there was like ducking some of the flying shit in some cases. I guess was good.
Absolutely.
Good to think
I
of.
definitely ducked for sure.
Right. But it wasn't something I really leaned on. I don't think. What kind of history do we got for this? And Game Genie codes that I didn't feel like cheating when I was using.
So, funny enough, like there's not much history here, but a lot of freaking rave reviews. Like everything is 90s and plus, like 90 plus as a review. Like all type of awards, everybody freaking loved it. Like some people were saying it's an unadulterated Mario clone, but it does it so well that no one cares, kind of a thing. So I
feel that.
It's
I
fast.
feel that.
I'm kicking myself right now because I realized that through all of like the business and life, I didn't even realize there was a 2013 remake of this, and that is it's available on Xbox. And I was looking at pictures of it, like, oh my gosh, like again, spoiler alert, I love the game. This was a great game. I would have totally played the remake as well, you know. So
Is it
I might
full
have to pick that
on
up
remaster or?
Yeah, like it's like it looks good. Like it's not pixelated, kind of a. It's completely a remake, not a remaster, a remake.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that as well.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so
I probably don't need to play it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it.
bottom line, very well received across all fronts. Everybody loved it, and yes, go play it if you have it.
Word. No Game Genie codes.
No Game Genie. I did not feel it even necessary at all. Like I was just going through this, having fun, not having a problem, not really like the parts that were tough were more.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah,
jump puzzly stuff.
Yeah, there was definitely no moment where I was like, I need some higher power help to make this to work this out.
Exactly.
You know? Even like I said, there were moments that were difficult, but it was always like I see the route to success. I just need to try again, you know, and that is good game design, probably.
Exactly, and I think that's the part. And obviously, we'll get into it again because I just want to keep talking about it. That's what I found that I really liked about this is that if I died, it was like, oh, but that's the key. I gotta keep doing that. Let me try that. Yes, look, I was excited to go try again, kind of a thing, which is not a feeling that I normally get in a lot of games.
Yep. No, there's some of my not my favorite genre, but a lot of the ones that, like Batman, that was the thing I said about Batman a million times before we played it, is like, it's fucking hard, but every time you die, you know why you died and what you should have done differently. And it's like brilliant game design. So yeah, that's applicable here as well. I agree. Sad news, Loric Disciples, our golden age of economic analysis may have ended, as I did not come up with one for this, unfortunately. So I'm sure that boringest part of our podcast you will miss greatly in this particular episode, but you will have to persevere. Forest at Night theme, and that's from Door 1, and it's track 6 on the soundtrack if you are listening on your Sony Discman. We start with the title screen, and we get the famous Sega logo with a shimmer on Fire Up, and surprisingly rip right into a prologue cinematic without the slightest peep of legalese, which for a Disney game I expected there to be a ton of, but there is not. Cream-colored text fades in on a black card, reads "Once Upon a Mouse," and then fade to Minnie and Mickey in mid-frolic through the forest, just spinning in circles, hand in hand, as the introduction theme swells. Text that scrolls by as we watch this reads, "Welcome to Vera City, where life is joyful and everyone lives in peace. All but one, that is. One who is jealous of Minnie's beauty and popularity, the witch Mizrabel." And there's a pause. "One day, ... The background disappears and both Mickey and Minnie crouch in fear, covering their heads with their hands. Mizrabel scoots in overhead on her broom and snatches up Minnie before Mickey can react, leaving him exasperated and alone. To his credit, though, Mickey's not a total biatch, and he takes off running in the direction she flew off in. And then the text reads, "Mickey had to do something. He chased after the witch Mizrabel all the way to the ... And then Mickey reaches the edge of a cliff and screeches to a stop. A majestic castle can be seen in the distance from it. Castle of Illusion appears in ornate gold font over that dope-ass pixel art, and starring Mickey Mouse fades in below as a little Let the Adventure Begin music cue wraps up the intro track. And that is at our actual title screen, and that is a really cool, impressive, organic way of, presenting that to us. When you hit start, you automatically are presented with the options menu, a unique approach contrasted against the customary start game versus option menu option set that you get in most games. So that's kind of interesting too. Difficulty, a sound test, and then an opportunity to remap the buttons as you deem fit are available here. And Sega is really big on giving players that kind of control agency early on. That was also in Altered Beast, I believe, and in Moonwalker 2, if I recall correctly. So a number of these early, Black Thatch Box Genesis games have that, and that's, I don't know what to say about that. I guess it's just something, because a lot of these games are arcade ports, so you're looking at an arcade company, and they're like, okay, we're bringing these to a console. They probably had in their mind, like, we're trying to recreate trying to recreate the arcade experience.
Yep.
And you don't have an arcade controller, so trying to give you the best option for recreating that, or giving the player the best option for recreating that, would be my best guess for the psychology there. Because that's not something that persists moving forward. Like, once we get out of this early era, it's gone from Sega. It's never been part of Nintendo, really, with any regularity. So,
yeah, I mean, I feel like their biggest selling point was the whole be like arcade thing, right? So that was like the thing, like, hey, we are the arcade company. We're bringing the arcade experience at home. And then after a while, people stopped caring about that. You know what I mean? And it became less about that. So it's like, all right, that's no longer a differentiator. Let's move on.
Yep. So, normal, Jay? Or did you go
Definitely
full?
went normal.
Yeah.
No, dude, come on. I play all of these games on normal. I don't even go easy unless there's like an issue. Like it's got to be a really big issue for me to go normal.
Or the fucking
easy.
thing starts that way, like ghouls
Oh my
and
gosh,
ghosts or
yeah.
whatever. You fucking
my
play
gosh.
play half the game and realize that you fucking can't finish it. Fuck! So yeah, soundtrack on this card is huge. There are 25 cues on the OST playlist that Sega Mag has on their YouTube channel. So the sound test is probably chock full of those options as well. I didn't go through it all, but there's a ton of original music in this game, or for this game. In this game, I guess, technically. Some more story follows that. After you get to the options menu, a cinematic where Mickey strolls right up to the castle walls and speaks with a little old man in a purple cloak. He says, "Hurry!" before Mizrabel uses her powers of illusion to make herself look like Minnie and make Minnie look evil like her. And you must find the 7 gems of the rainbow. They will give you the power to overcome Mizrabel. But be careful, the gems are protected by the Master of Illusion. As the last of the old man's words pass his lips, 3 toy soldiers come marching out of the archway on the right, and Mickey quickly reacts, hopping up and bouncing across all 3 of their heads, making them burst into clouds of sparkles as he runs through the archway. Inside is an ornate castle vibe with its own specific tune. Mickey jogs past a few large wooden double doors before coming to a stop in front of one that looks no different than all the others. And there's some little text that appears at the bottom. It reads, "What kind of room is behind this door?" And he then opens it, revealing some forest-looking shit beyond. He enters and closes the door calmly and quietly behind him. I would try the start button shit here. It says, yeah, I tried this on a later restart. And so if you actually hold the button, it acts as a fast-forward function. So it doesn't just like skip and fade to the next thing. You can literally see it all happening in turbo speed. The animation, the text at the bottom, all of it.
Oh,
And yeah,
I like that actually.
I like it, I guess, but it is fucking weird. Like weird, weird. I've never seen a game do that for like the skip this shit function, you know? So yeah, just weird. I thought it was very, very weird. So you walk through that door, and then it plunks you down in the forest, and it is game jamming time. So let us talk controls and HUD. For the HUD, I immediately discerned that, the power sphere is mentioned, the difficulty explanations in the manual here. So 2 of the possible 5 units of your life bar are clearly empty to start. So that's what it means. Start with 3. So yeah, you don't have a full power meter here, and you can't go beyond 5 under any circumstance. You don't pick up anything in the game that makes your life bar bigger. Like that is what you're working with the whole game, and you don't get it full at the beginning. So it's also interesting to have a game where you don't start full, at least with the normal setting, you know. So that's kind of
well. I've seen some games like this before, like even games where if we didn't play it on an episode that were played as part of a mag that were similar to this, where you'd start with like a default three spheres of health, and then you could get like 2 more or 3 more on top of it, but like you started with that base thing. So I've actually seen this before, and I actually had to remind myself of this later in the game when I died and I wanted to go back to a save scum point. And I was like, wait a minute, no, let me just keep playing. I have more tries. I started with 3, and I was like, wait, I had 3 before I died, and I started with 3, and that's the base. I kind of had to ground myself that I didn't like start with 5 and then lose 2.
Right.
So yeah, it can throw you off if you don't think that way, though.
I'm trying to think. I can't think. I can't think of a specific game. I'm sure.
Yeah, whatever
There's so
game
many
I'm thinking
games.
about,
I'm sure it exists.
There was like I'm thinking of like squares though. Whatever game it was like squares or rectangle or something. It wasn't little circles. So I couldn't tell you what game it was, but it's definitely happened.
That's definitely not a specific enough citation. There are your tries/lives are down here, your projectile attack item icon, just showing a picture of what it is, and then a number of shots remaining next to it, and all your score are all down below, and that it's a very slim HUD at the bottom of the screen. I appreciate that, giving me as much gameplay area to work with as possible. Good game design. Also, Then for controls, A and or B throws your item in the direction that you're facing, and this can go down while jumping, of course. And then C jumps, and then you have to hit it again before coming down on an enemy, or you will take damage and inflict no harm upon them. And yeah, realizing that that's what the manual was saying, that I'd have to do this the whole game, was a little bit of a red flag to me. I was like, it's weird. It's a weird extra step.
Yeah.
That probably deserves to fall into the difficulty category or the negative category for me. I think I just don't. I mean, it is a level of challenge, I guess, and that is part of what makes it difficult. But I just don't. I don't know. I don't think you should have to do that. It's not.
Yeah.
There are times where. I guess it's just if you hit the button fast enough, it's not the game's fault. But it felt like, I don't know, it just felt icky at times to me, and I was not a huge fan of that, I guess is the simplest way to say that. The jump physics are a little floaty, but I wouldn't say they're unbalanced or anything. I don't have any shit to talk about jumping, really. And you can duck, as the hint suggests you to do. Mickey does a pretty cute ducking animation. He holds his hands out wide.
Yeah.
And his tail is swirling behind him, and his eyes are looking up above him, So that's a really good animation. And, it's Disney. You would expect animations to be good, but there's a lot of that. On the same cute front, Mickey's idle animation is pretty like a Dorbs dancing thing. He starts dancing, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of that. The swinging animation is really good when you're going across ropes. Trying to think of some other good ones. I mean, even the jump and ducking, when he does the slam down, he puts his legs up in the air and really.
I like that. It's emphasized.
Right.
Well. But I think the jumping on the heads definitely is. I feel like that's the only thing that I really don't like. Everything else is great. Animation wise, it's great. All these little things were fantastic. I don't have any issues with any of the controls or anything like that. You know what I mean? Except for the decision that I have to make mid jump of, am I jumping on a head to defeat, or am I trying to bounce to go up? That is the only the wrinkle. But I feel like I didn't have to make that decision too often, so it was okay.
I got a little bit of a bitch about the ropes too. Those are also have a kind of a goofy thing to them. So we'll talk about those when we get to them. But there wasn't. It's not by no means, like I said, we've already fucking whatever some dumb idiom would be of the game being good. We've already done that, but or said that rather. But there are a few things that are a little goofy to me. So we are starting in the Enchanted Forest.
Enter a glowing forest where trees and mushrooms crawl. Tulips spit poison seeds, and spiders attack from their huge sticky webs. Grab a rope and swing over pits. Beware of scary ghouls and giant apples.
This was the thing, I don't know if you remember this. This was the thing for Strider, too. The Sega published games, their level breakdowns, they describe you going through them, as opposed to just telling you about the environment. It's so interesting. They're using that mechanic to tell you about the environment. I shouldn't say they're not telling you about the environment, but the device they're using to explain the environment is you actively interacting with it, as opposed to just saying there are spiders, there are whatever, and it is an interesting writing choice that again, noticing patterns I'm seeing in a few of these early Sega games.
I like that. It's almost like it's hinting you and kind of giving you a guide. This is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to swing. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that.
This is how you actually should interact with it. Yeah. Even telling you, especially early.
You're going to grab a rope. You're going to have to swing over these pits.
And but the bouncing off, you got to bounce off these things. It's interesting. So this first scene is introducing a lot of mechanics to us. On the opening stretch, you were offered up a sacrificial tree enemy, so you can learn those bounce attack mechanics in the safest arena possible. So they give you a little baby's first bounce opportunity there. And you find some apples up in the tree along the way, but not a ton of them. And there, I would say, are less than 10 for the whole area. So I was thinking these would be at a premium for sure, in line with the manual tip section, your ammunition, I mean. And I would say that would kind of pretty much hold true for most of the game.
Oh yeah, I definitely would not use them until I needed to in general. Yep.
And yeah, you get a swinging rope instance early on here, so you can figure out, and that's critical, I think, because it's not a hold and let go thing. You let go of the jump and then hit it like as you're jumping to the rope, and then hit it again when you want to leap off. So yeah, am I right in remembering this? And that you don't hit anything to grab it. You automatically grab it, and then to let go, you have to do usually it's like a jump and hold and then let go. Right?
No, I'm pretty sure it was a jump, hold it, like press it and hold to grab, and then let go and grab again to grab the next one, like if you were swinging back and forth. Because I remember thinking enemies came and I wasn't sure what to do, but I could just swing through them, and I was like, oh, that's so much.
Well, I would learn that later too. I didn't learn that until the library.
Here.
Yeah, the library I learned that, right. So yeah, I did not know that, and yes, I was frustrated about the difficulty of trying to avoid something that it turns out you don't need to avoid. So yeah, I had that same experience for sure. So okay, yeah, but that still sounds weird to me. And yeah, it's so weird that I could even like describe it exactly. Like
right? Yeah. You learn to do it.
Right. Yeah. After a while, after some failures. Yeah. So it's hold it all the way through, let go, and then hit it again. That's what. Yeah, it should be. Yes, you hold it the whole time and just let go when you want to move to the next one, but you have to do it. You have to hit it twice, and that's super goofy and not how those usually go. So falling down the pits gives you a really long fall animation. That's also pretty cute. Even if you're pissed that it's happening, while it's happening, you do enjoy the animation. And you don't die though. I don't think, right? You just respawn. It's not a death. I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't remember falling down a pit to die, so I'm not.
Well, yeah, I had to try. You had to try to do it. Like I tried to do it just to see it, but I don't think I died. I'm pretty sure it just respawned me. Like you took a hit. There are 3 enemy types in here. Your bottom tier grunts are little walking mushrooms that kind of just randomly pop up from places and amble around rather aimlessly. They will interrupt from off screen sometimes too, but then they come out of these little patches of grass that they can sprout up from infinitely. And the aforementioned walking trees are only 1 click higher on the video game enemy evolutionary scale. They don't do much. They kind of just fucking wander around. And then there are flowers that spit a pollen projectile up into the air out to the right or left in an elliptical flight pattern. Reminded me of a Mario enemy.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So quick game over tangent, since we hopefully won't experience that a ton. But I tried it out just to see what happened. And the dying via enemy contact sends enemies spinning like a top up into the air and off the screen, which is pretty fun, I think.
Yeah.
And when you run out of lives, it cuts to Mickey center mass in a black void, looking pretty like drunk as fuck is what I would describe that animation as. His tongue is hanging out the side of his mouth. His eyes are half closed. He's got the birdies flying around his head that are so emblematic of cartoons of the time. And his shoulders are slumped and his arms are hanging limply in front of him. And game over, real big, appears above him. And then the text below reads, "You must be brave and smart to save many. Try again." And then a wooden sign appears on both sides of White Boy Wasted Mickey as he gets his second wind and adopts a chest puffed out posture of strength when you select continue. And so yeah, the left side says continue and shows how many you have remaining, and the right sign says new game. And you actually have to push the D-pad and choose which one you want. Which is kind of, I don't know, instead of a menu, it's just a cool way to do a menu, basically, I guess is what I'm getting at there. The second scene starts off with you like, within a level, there are multiple stages, scenes, they call them. So once you finish, you get to the end of this one, it starts another one that's still in the forest here, and this starts off with some jungle hunt on Atari 2600 type shit, swinging from rope to rope for multiple screens. And yeah, this is where you really fucking have to figure out that rope shit, or you're gonna be cussing at the game. And this ends with an opportunity to score your first Mickey ears 1-up. You gotta go down to this lower level, swing and fall down to the lower level, which takes a little bit of skill, I guess. And then we transition into some Sonic mode stuff, running fast downhill while a giant apple rolls down after you. And they score this with a really cool, harried feeling tune. The clearly marked with signage exit is right after that. So you get to the bottom of that hill and it's right out of that scene. And then the next one is a pretty nifty platforming stint. There's some seemingly magically suspended leaves here and there, and some of them move horizontally, so it's this might be the most heavy platforming part of the game, I would say.
Well, I don't know if I'd say this. There was definitely heavier platforming later, but I definitely died here a couple times, kind of jumping, not sure what was going to happen, or not sure where I should land beneath me. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to land there instead of here. Kind of.
Well, yeah, I don't mean from a difficulty perspective necessarily, just like the amount of it. Like the whole scene is just platforming with these things. Some of them move and stuff. I mean, yeah, they'll work platforming into all the stages, but I mean, it's a platformer. They fuck it better. Yeah. But that's all this is. There's really no enemy stuff, really. I mean, you're avoiding these spiders as they drop, but it's honestly, those are more about complicating the platforming than they are about presenting you an enemy to defeat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I noticed coming out of that, leaving with only one life unit, and the next scene I had automatically been refueled to 3. So this is how long I played before I figured out what that meant in the instruction manual. That like you start every scene with 3, no matter what you finished with. There's no carryover, basically. So that's a rather forgiving thing, I think. Probably even for hard mode, I think, if it bumps you back up to 2, you know. So
I like that.
Yeah. I mean,
so if you skated by, you barely beat the last level, you're good.
Definitely leads to less save scumming too, because you're less worried about the long term effects of having been reduced to 1 HP. In the next scene, the sky is dark and ominous, and all the trees are barren with broken limbs and what have you. The soundtrack turns ominous here. This is the track we had coming into the first segment. Very good one. The shrooms adopt a ghostly look here with actual ghosts floating all over. You can bounce across and traverse. You can use those ghosts more so to get to kind of difficult to reach areas than like they seem like they're just enemies, but they're really actually platforms kind of.
Yeah. You look at them, you're like, wait, you're going up and to the right. I can definitely, if I can get my jumping going, you lead me someplace.
Right, and that's where you want to go for sure, because there's like a kind of like a, I don't know if I call it hidden necessarily, but it's like if you go up here and get all the way to the top right, when you're working down this cavern system that finishes out the stage, you can get an extra bag of holding and some additional projectiles, which you will need, because right after that is our boss battle. And this is a single-screen arena. It's dominated by a lone large tree over on the right. A square face appears in the trunk of the tree, then pops off onto the ground disembodiedly, and it leaves a hole in the tree where it was, and then the boss battle theme fires up. It turns into a rolling log that will roll along the ground at you, then fly up in the air at the screen edge, then roll back to the tree, and do the same there before turning back into the face again. And immediately after that, it's kind of like the idea there is that the log is hitting the tree, and it's knocking acorns out of it, and they come falling down from above in random horizontal slottings, 4 at a time, that you have to kind of get out from under, basically. And after you're in a safe spot there, you need to pop an op, and the acorns fall all the way to the ground. You need to pop off an apple at Homeboy, which has a very nice hit feedback, visual, and sound effect, so you know what's what. So they're very good game design there. Leave you no question whether you are making progress, correct? And then the cycle then repeats. And I think maybe, if I had to guess, you're not counting, especially this first one, but between 8 and 10 apple pops, I would say, to defeat him. Would you agree?
I don't even know. This was not a problem.
No, not a problem.
I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't counting. I was just kind of like popping them with apples, and I was like, oh, we're done now. Yeah. Like the hardest part was just avoiding the acorns falling.
Really? I thought that was... Yeah, I found a sweet spot of staying in the middle of the screen, because honestly, I would say the hard part is the log to me, because you got to like... That was... All the bosses had some variation of this mechanic where you're dealing with this horizontal thing, and often you're jumping... You have to time your jump to get over the attack in both directions. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, this one was slow enough that you could do two, but some of the later ones, you would have to learn to deal with the horizontal danger, jump late enough so you could stay up in the air. And this is where the floaty jump probably was by design, to keep you up long enough for it to go all the way to the edge of the screen or whatever its movement range is, and then come back the other way, you know, because if you try to do 2, it's going too fast for that. So this one is either or, but it was started to learn that here. And then, yeah, you'd avoid the acorns and pop with an apple. So, some explosion animation stuff gets him off the screen after he dies. Then a big red gem floats down in front of the tree along with a celebratory cue. You have to physically go grab that puppy to fade to a screen with Mickey happily tapping his foot next to some text that reads, in this case anyways, "Here's the red gem. You have much more to do to save Minnie." And then it cuts to a bonus score countdown screen to give you a breather. Then it's back to the castle where Mickey walks out the door he went in, closes it behind him again, ever so courteously, and it turns into a window that allows you to see the forest behind it after you leave. So kind of denoting that that's taken care of. And then he walks up to the next door for some more carrot dangling text that reads, "Another door. What could be inside?" And when he opens it, you can see some toy blocks stacked up, and that's what's inside. So he heads on in, and that's because we are moving into Toyland is the name of this level. And the manual description for this reads, "Open the second door to find a world of animated toys. Knock down marching soldiers and juggling clowns. Duck or jump over buzzing toy airplanes. The door's in front of your nose, but it could be locked. There's a big surprise waiting in this world." And I love surprises in retro video games, so I can't wait for that. It's very cute in here, Jay. Reminded me of that train level in Little Nemo on NES, if you recall.
It definitely did.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have Toyland. I mean, I feel like there's some aspect of being a kid where, if you ever remember the movie Babes in Toyland,
sure.
Like, I don't know, that the whole idea of that is like a fun thing to just, we've seen in mini games.
Right.
I'm always going to enjoy it.
Just like where everything is huge and it's just like toy overload, basically.
Exactly.
The emotional idea behind it. Yeah, for sure. That is a dream state for all children. So yeah, you're climbing up on toy blocks throughout the first stretch of this level, dealing with the toy soldiers and jack-in-the-boxes that operate kind of like piranha plants, is what I thought of with these. Again, it's funny you mentioned that there was actually some journalistic commentary that said that this was a Mario knockoff, because there were a lot of things where I was like, that's just a really smart visual change on the exact mechanics of a Mario thing. Which, whatever, Mario, it's a seminal platformer. There's some of it in every platformer pretty much ever to this day. So, that's kind of applicable to all games, but this one felt like a heightened level of like, that's just a Mario thing that you reskinned.
Exactly. I mean, they clearly did well with it. So
right, yeah.
It's funny because like the whole time with me, I didn't really think of it that much. Like it was only afterwards and like preparing for the podcast that I started looking at it through that vein, because I didn't really think about it, think that way playing the game. I was just kind of like, oh, I kind of like this, thinking of it for what it was and trying to kind of be, I guess, in that Mickey illusion-y world, but kind of stepping back. Now it's much more clear to me.
It's becoming, I can see the forest through the trees. Yeah, it's with those in particular. It's because you have to. There are times where you have to platform across them. You're waiting for it. It's the timing mechanic of platforming, I guess, is really what it is, and that's just a device by which to enact that emotional gameplay response. Because these things will pop back down, and you got to time it out and make sure. You're waiting for them. The second they go down, that's when you jump, and that's a piranha plant thing to me for whatever reason. And this moving through here is when I noticed just again another really adorable animation. His at the edge of a platform animation where he keeps
he's leaning and tottering.
Right, yep. Waving his arms, trying to keep his balance and not fall off. Yeah, it's really good animation. And you better have your head bonk game on point for this ascent, as there is a lot of quick twitch bonking needs with the soldiers and the airplanes as you move through here. The planes, have a sine wave flight pattern that you got to be on your P's and Q's for sure. Yep. And we get new projectiles here. They change from apples to marbles on this stage. And as far as like the one thing, again, maybe a worthy criticism is they don't have any different. There's no difference functionally to any of these projectiles. They operate exactly the same. They fly in a straight pattern from the same release point and go the direction that you're facing, you know? So
yeah, that's what made it weird to me, because I wasn't sure. I'm like, can I just pick them up in different times? I was so clueless about that. And I was just like, to your point, I was like, why don't I just make it all Apple?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Or something. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, you know, you're just trying to give it, like, I can... It would have been nice to have some functionality difference. My criticism is not that it changed and creating confusion. Like, it's fine, even if you don't want to bother with changing the mechanic. Sure, whatever, make them different just so you have some visual difference that are more kind of themed. Like, I'm sure, like, initially, the idea with these was to theme them to the level. Like, the marbles are for Toyland, the apples are for the forest. The problem is that we just...
You run out of different
options, or if you're not going to spend the time to create new ones anyways, which is what they did. You know, so if you're going to do that and they aren't truly themed to the level throughout, then yeah, they should have some functionality difference, I guess, is really where the thing falls. Or you should find something that's just universal for all things, you know, whatever Mickey would like to be using, you know. But really cool and fun level design here, though. At the top, very top of this, you'll find a key. The icon looks like a modern house key, which is not something I expected to be in this fantastical story world. So I kind of liked it, actually, because of how weird it was, as opposed to like a skeleton key or whatever would be more fitting for a Disney setting. So, but the moment you grab this, the blocks that you've ambled up to get up here immediately transform into a slippery slope, and you start rocketing downward on it. And my initial reaction was like, "Oh fuck!" Like, I even paused it right away. You know, it's like I'm like, "Oh shit!"
No.
I'm into something. I gotta fucking focus. I gotta like get a whole new headspace to deal with this. You know what I mean? So I paused it, and you know, so I could like really dial in and like deal with jumping all the hazards and shit. And you know, you quickly realize once you start going, like it's a bonus stage, really.
Exactly.
You're just scoring countless these diamond-shaped bonus point pickups. And there's a really brilliant design choice, so you don't just like go on autopilot. You can, if you jump and like, there are parts to like, if you pay attention and try and are really following along, you can get bonus points and do these very satisfying jumps off the slopes and stuff while you're cruising down them. Yep. And that's really cool. Yeah, and there's no enemies all the way down, so you're just trying. It's just there's no danger basically, and that is a really interesting and fun design choice because it works you because it's not even like the end of the stage. You do have to like you get to the bottom.
You're backtracking. You're
exactly.
Backtracking for where you came from, so you're expecting the enemies at first,
right?
Until after you for me it was like 2 slides, and I realized, oh, we're good now. It's just having fun until the end.
Same, yeah. And it's cool to me, too, that it's not like this is something that's now in every stage. This was just a one-off thing that they did to better the experience of having to backtrack if we're going to do this climb. And you know, it's just, even in the sense that you have that you have to work up and backtrack, that's the only time that you have it in the game, too. So it's just, there was, what game was it that we played where they just, like, didn't give a fuck about the level numbering structure. Some levels had 2. Some, I think that was
Dracula. It was or not Dracula, but it was
no. Well, maybe that too. Castlevania, but no, I'm thinking of the one. It was the ninja game, Shadow of the Ninja.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like some levels had just like 2 stages in them.
2.
Some had 4.
5,
Just I don't give a fuck. This is how many we need to tell our story here, you know. And that to me, it's why I don't watch network television. Like, I know when the commercial's coming. I know your story before we get there because you have to adhere to this dumbass system that is totally arbitrary and artificial. And that's why I love HBO type programming where you don't have commercial breaks because they can just tell the story and it's organic, you know. And I like that when that appears in video games. So cool. Yeah, a great little emotional roller coaster moment rather. Bravo, compile. The second scene introduces your classic platformer springboards, and unlike Mario, this is again just like it's fucking weird, man. It's weird. I don't know if it's deliberate, taking all these very common action platformer mechanics and fucking with them a little bit, but in this one, unlike in Mario, where you're not hitting the jump button at the bottom of the spring constriction. Or wait, hold on. And unlike Mario, you must not hit. So on Mario, you hit jump again when the spring constricts. or you don't get proper elevation. In this one, if you do that, it actually penalizes you. It's not like it just doesn't recognize it. If you do that, it penalizes you and you get a shit elevation. So you have to not do the thing that you've been programmed to do your entire video game life up to this point, you know? So it's just so fucking weird. And like, yeah, once you remember to do it, sure. But like those first few times, you're like, what the fuck? You know, what the fuck is that like that for? Like,
it's
why?
Always like, whenever I'm like triggered every time I see a spring in a video game now, because I'm like, all right, how is this going to work?
Right? Yeah.
You know, like how's the jump? How's it going to spring me? Is it going to be reliable like some games, or is it going to be like, we don't care? Maybe maybe you won't. Like,
yeah, it's like you know, it doesn't matter if the rest of your life doesn't have it. When you experience that traumatic event in your formative years, you spend the rest of your life dealing with it. Yeah, it's that.
Every time,
right,
like,
yeah,
oh my gosh, I see springs. It's like, how am I going to get up there? Am I going to be able to complete this part? I don't even know.
Yep. And all that criticism stated, you know, really thinking about it because I was frustrated, it does make the most sense from a scientific perspective. Like what I thought of to run this little analysis in my mind. Have you ever jumped on a trampoline?
Yes.
Okay, so a guy I rolled. No, I don't know, of course, not everyone has.
I have kids and stuff. Like,
do you have a trampoline at your house?
We used to.
Oh man, they're so
like
dangerous.
Smaller ones. Like I actually was thinking about getting a large one this past summer, but
they're so dangerous. I don't know. Maybe they
still might get one.
Maybe they've done shit to make them safer now.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. They have ones that are like spring free now that are more expensive, that are like nets on the side. Like it's far safer. So that's the reason why I'm like, I was considering it.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
An investment.
Yeah, so a guy I rolled pretty hard with in my country skateland phase, a roller skating phase, like 7th and 8th grade. He had one in his backyard, so I put some time in on that. And if you try to jump off a trampoline in the way you would jump from terra firma, from ground, like bending your knees and exerting force upward, you are much more likely in a trampoline to just collapse and maybe fucking hurt yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So like you have to let the trampoline do the work. You know what I mean? Yep. So I think those physics should apply with these devices in video games as well. You know, like you should just let the spring's constriction send you up. You shouldn't have to hit jump.
And that's what happens here.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. It's right here, but it's not right in the sense that I've been programmed otherwise my entire life in these video games, you know? So I just, that was funny that I really started thinking about it. Like, well, okay, what is right? Like, no, it's right, but it's still wrong.
That's the fun thing too, watching like my youngest kids, like whenever they, I guess we're young, on the trampoline for the first time and they want to try to jump their hardest, and the first time they try that and it just like bounces up like low, and they realize, oh, that's not the way this works.
Your knees just I recall
you hurt yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Your knees literally hitting your fucking chin. Like that's the level of force being exerted if you don't have your knees locked and let it do the work, you know. Yeah, dude, he had a very traditional one. It had the springs, and like there was like this half-assed blue padding that would go over it that could easily fall off.
Oh yeah. We had that kind at my house growing up.
Yeah, in hindsight, like there's so many things. Like, you know, I won't go skiing. There's just things in life I was like, I'll never do that because it's literally you're asking to kill yourself. You know, and like as a kid though, you don't think about anything. So like we would fucking be out there for hours, and he would do the thing. He was a dickhead. He would like do the thing where you jump. Like you time your jump to the other person's jump, and if you jump at them and jump right next to, or basically you're trying to create two human beings worth of weight force in the same place. So when that person who's not expecting to go as high as they're about to go because they didn't know you were going to do this to them, when they come out of their jump, they're coming out of two human beings worth of force going down and fly way up into the air. And if you're not really ready for that and you're not angling yourself properly, you can fucking parabole and fucking come down who knows where, you know? So like, it's such a dangerous activity. It's a crazy ass dangerous activity.
So much. That's reminded me of so many times of that.
Right.
Many times.
Yep. Shout out to Wayne Perry if you're listening. 2 other new mechanics are presented to you not long after that as well. Also, there's a springboard conspicuously sitting at the bottom of a shaft that, after a lifetime of video game veteran status, I knew meant there was a secret of some kind to find right above it. So you like fall down this thing, there's one there, you're like, I don't need that to get back up there. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, oh, there's a wall. I can clearly go through that wall. And sure enough, you bounce off that baby and you pass through that block that looks like all the others that you normally can't. And behind it are toy blocks that you can be dispatched with marbles, and one of those 4 blocks has a star pickup for a power unit replenishment inside. So getting that satisfied secret, there's not a ton of those. I guess that's where, do you think, I didn't think to like revisit that in my mind, but in the manual description it tells you there's a secret. That's the only thing I can think of, and that is such a not impressive thing to tease. Like, those are everywhere in the game, those stars, like finding secrets to replenish your
Yeah, you mean
HP.
like the kinds of secrets that you find?
Well, I mean, this is the only thing I can think of that was secret in the level at all, and the manual description cited at the end of it, it was like, oh, there's a secret here to find. So is that what it's talking about, you think? Probably, right?
I mean, I think so, because
that's the biggest notable secret maybe I can think of in the whole game, where it like felt like a total, especially like I said, it was so conspicuously placed that I feel like that's also why it was talking about that, because it was
I mean, I think it was talking about that, but really when I think about it, like anytime all the secrets I found kind of felt like that, where it was like, oh, look, I can bust that part of the wall, or oh, look, I can jump through.
Oh yeah, sure. No, it's not
just kind of
in that way.
Reward didn't feel huge, like,
right?
Oh,
well, yeah. There's no. I mean, I guess there's one up, so whatever. And I think I only found one of those, if I recall correctly. That one in the rope swinging area of 1-2, I guess it was. So maybe there were more that I didn't find, and that's why we're saying this. You maybe had the same experience, but yeah, I mean, in that regard, it's very not Mario-ish. It doesn't have like warp zone type, like, oh my god, what is this?
And nothing we found was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found that secret. It was
right, yeah,
like,
that's what I mean by
full life.
Right, of course, there's no warp zones,
items.
but I just mean something that feels that like, oh my god, what is this? You know, there's none of that in this game.
It was more like, oh, the first time that I found the secret, I was like, oh, look, I got a secret, great.
Right,
but then
cool, moving on. Yeah, yeah. And then you come to what I am going to call a jello pond, the physics of which are basically quicksand, I think. You got to hit jump rapidly to not sink into it an inch across. And then the third scene opens up by introducing an anti-gravity mechanic, and this is pretty cool. You can walk into a little block with a double-sided up-down arrow, and then the whole screen flips, and you are then bound to the ceiling. And I wouldn't learn it until way later in the stage than I would have preferred, but hitting these with the enemies on the screen is like a smart bomb effect that kills them all. So I didn't know to use it for that. I thought I was trying to use it to like, okay, the way the situation is, I want to be on the ceiling for what's going to come on the screen next. Yeah. And like, I didn't know that it was to kill everything, which would have been great because those fucking unicycle clowns here, fuck those dudes, are real pains in the ass. And yeah, when you kill these things, they ride in on a unicycle, like they look like a clown, and when you kill them, when you bonk off them, they turn into just a unicycle rolling. I think it'll bounce one direction and go back the other. So, and they move fast as fuck. So like, it was really hard not to, after you kill one of these things, catch a stray from that fucking unicycle. Like, I had a real hard time avoiding those. So knowing that I could just fucking frag them by switching the orientation of the screen would have been real nice. So yeah, this was a highly safe, scummy moment for me.
It's funny because this wasn't for me. Like, I went through it, grabbing the arrows each time, still not clocking. Same things. The flip kind of kills everything. Maybe I did, but I was still getting fragged. But then, so I save scum, went back to the beginning, and I just didn't hit the arrows. I just let it keep me on the bottom, so that way I could control just about bonk things that I needed to, or throw.
And that's probably because
it's way easier that way than flipping it back and forth.
That's probably true. Yeah, probably true. Because I mean, everything. Also very stridery, honestly, since we're talking on
it's just harder when you're upside down.
Right.
It's not like when
hard
it's down,
to gauge.
up. It's just
hard to gauge. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the interesting thing about it, is that it does not. I assumed that I needed to do it. It suggests that you need to, and you do not need to. That's correct.
I did not need to, no.
Entirely optional. Right after that is the door to the boss battle, and this is a makeshift clown. This is a cool looking boss sprite, I think. It's a makeshift clown with a pogo stick movement set, and it's got spring-loaded boxing gloves on each side of its body that fly out and will fly back. They're on like those. It's a cartoon gadget. It's like those things where you like kids' toys will have them. They probably sell them at Disneyland kiosks actually. Like where you just squeeze the thing and like it makes the thing go out. You know, it's very much a kid's toy to me. I don't think it actually exists. It probably had. That's one of those things that probably in like the 40s was like a household item for some sort of function, but no longer has any actual utility, and a toy company somehow, saw it as a chance to make a toy, and now we know of it as a toy, is what I think one of those is what this is. But that's the mechanic for his attacks. And as far as the design of him, his torso is a wrapped gift box. He's got these big goofy clown shoes, and he just looks really cool. He's got like one of those bowler hats on. It's just very hobo clown type deal going on. And so the way his mechanics work, he will jump 2 or 3 times, and I was not able to discern a reliable pattern to that. So I think it's RNG. And that is complicating because as soon as he lands on that second or third jump, whichever one it is, he will toss out these springboards on each side of him. So you want, like, these are just hazards that will disappear once he starts jumping again. So you want to have to not deal with them, basically. So you're optimally more than what I would call a quarter of a screen distance from him, which is the range that the outer of the 2 that he throws fall at. And you want to just be further away than those so you can just wait for him to make these go away, because they'll slow you down and fuck up your jumping areas that you want to. Because what you want to do when the boxing gloves fly out in both directions, they go all the way off the screen and then come flying back just as quickly. So what you need to do is, this is what I was talking about with the log for the last boss, is you need to jump late enough to stay, at least for me, I don't know, the look on your face suggests maybe you didn't need to do this, but the only way I found to make this work, this guy killed me a number of times, was to jump late enough where you were in the air the whole time the glove was out, and you were still up in the air when it flew back to him. So that's how I avoided his attacks. And that was the only way. That was the only way I was able to. So what the fuck did you?
I'm like, what are you talking? I'm like looking at you skeptically, like, what are you talking about right now? So I definitely did not do that. This took me a few tries, but once I learned the Punch Clown's pattern and when he could take damage, I just took him out. So I like this playful boss. Basically, you let him do his jumps. You're close. You just land close to him. He'll shoot his fists out. You just duck. He'll shoot the fist out.
Oh my god.
He'll come right back. Shoot the springs, you jump on a spring, bounce on his head, rinse, repeat. Like, that is the pattern. It was flawless. Once I learned that
I talk shit about not knowing the ducks too,
I'm like, why are you jumping in the air? What are you talking about? God. Like, once I learned that pattern, it was like, oh, done. Didn't even take damage once I learned the full pattern.
That's so good that it's in the manual as the last hint. I talk shit about it. And this was
like, what are you talking about?
This is probably
like
the hardest.
This
is probably the hardest part of the game for me. That's hilarious.
That's
hilarious.
So funny.
Okay, well, yeah. If you avoid the gloves in a smart way or a dumb way, once you avoid those, you have to pop off a projectile at his melon at the top, and this is where it's difficult too. And it's a half jump. If you have to like pop it off while you're jumping. At the top of your jump, it'll fly over his head. So you got to pop off your projectile mid-jump as opposed to the top, where you have kind of that moment of weightlessness where you're up longer. So it's just a slightly more difficult timing thing to get the projectile off.
That also seems more difficult, than to jump. I didn't even try to, even though I had I don't even know, 30 projectiles or something. I just naturally, because of the springs, just used them to bounce on his head and just. I didn't even try to shoot it. I didn't even try to aim a projectile.
Oh yeah, I wasn't. That was the thing I thought you were going to say was that you use the jump boards to stay in the air so long, to more easily stay in the air long enough, I should say. I did try, initially I tried to bonk him too, but because of, again, wanting to be far away from him.
You probably didn't get to him in time.
Yeah, right, precisely. So, I was using the projectiles. So yeah, you have to do it at like a half jump, like I said, to fucking to hit his
I was
head.
always close by.
Yeah.
So
I had two levels of added complication that I was adding to this for myself, that's why it was harder.
Okay.
But it's cool that
I like there's that variability.
Exactly right.
Like,
yeah,
that
you could even have that different of an experience is its own cool thing to say. I would attest as well. So yeah, it took me a few go-rounds with this fucking dude. Probably a half dozen or so tries, which is more than you would expect for the second boss.
Okay.
The orange gem is your reward here. Then it's back to the castle for another tromp to the next door. Let's see what's in this room. Mickey's statement of curiosity this time around. And through that doorway, you can see the orange-hued clouds that will line the sky of the next level. And that is the image behind me right now. And that is the name of this level. It's called The Storm.
Once you pass the third door, you'll be walking on a dangerous hillside as a violent storm approaches. Carefully tiptoe, or run and jump, across the crumbling bridges. Brilliant bonefish leap and snap. Watch out for the water.
The stage is gorgeous. There is a parallax scrolling cloudy sunset background. Again, what's behind me throughout the stage. That looks absolutely fucking amazing. So I don't think either of the first two had that, but yeah, the latter stages, definitely the end leading up to the final boss, to Miserabel, and this stage. And I think the library. Oh yeah, the milk bottle segments of the library also had just really well done parallax scrolling, where the backgrounds moving at a different speed to give you that perspective deal. Really fucking good. Really, really, really good looking video game design there. So we're still on marbles for projectiles here. The enemies are the same mushrooms, but palette swapped. There are, as you mentioned in the description, man-eating fish jumping up out of the pits, and there are really cute bats. Even though bats are always one of the shittier enemies functionally, visually they are very cute here. And yeah, they flutter in their flight path. And yeah, the collapsing bridges too. They are a particularly forgiving varietal of collapsing bridge, though. You have to, usually, Contra is what I think of, is what I first thought of when comparing these. But in Contra, even when you jump over the beginning of it, it still starts blowing up. With these, they're segmented logs, they're the side view of the logs, and only the logs that you step on fall. So
I like that.
Yeah, it's easier for sure. So yeah, you like it. Of course, but yeah, so if you jump on the third log, the first two don't fall. So you have that safety net. That's the word I was looking for. Safety net. Yeah. So again, just slightly different, interesting functionality for something that you think how they work in video games automatically, but maybe can be different.
Did you find the secret gems and stash on this stage? Down below.
Gems and stash. Hold on, I don't. It's not.
There's an item bag and then 9 diamonds as well. You could find if you walked through a wall.
Oh no, yeah, I didn't find that. Nope. No wall walking. Nice. Okay, so that sounds like gives you more of that feeling of this is really secret, So that's cool. Yeah, no, that I assume it was down in the water area, the cave stuff down below.
Yeah, I just went down below. It was not even water yet. I just wanted.
Oh yeah,
because you can go down below in a lot of different ways.
I went down there and I was like, this. I don't want to be down here. I'd rather be. It's easier to just platform up top. So yeah, I went down there and had some sort of complication. I was like, I don't want to go that route, and then I just started going right, staying up top, and never had to go back down there. So I never had to go back down there in the beginning part, I should say. So I skipped over that. That's what I get for that, for not being thorough. Yeah, to me, I viewed it as a penalty area for falling down a pit, once I got going.
Yeah.
The down below area.
I thought that too, and I just kind of happened to walk through it, Right. Still, I don't remember how many secrets I'd found at this point, but I was definitely at this point, looking, let me throwing stuff at walls, trying to walk through walls, and so I was happily rewarded from
yeah. So yeah, as you're moving through the platforming stuff, if you miss a platforming instance or fall down a bridge or whatever, you fall down into these water areas, and there's current down there that sometimes it's current, sometimes it's not, but you fall down and there's a lot of fish down there, the bony fish, of course, that are jumping up in the bridge areas. Those same fish are swimming down here, and they'll, swimming's not the easiest or fastest thing, so you're kind of trying to avoid them with a little bit of difficulty. But then you'll get pulled into these rip current areas that will fire you through a tunnel and then up a water spout to get you back up to the platforming stuff to like try again, basically. It'll push you backwards. So pretty cool. That's way fuck better than insta-death, obviously, when falling down a pit, so you'll take it. And as always, with all Genesis games, we've talked about this every time we've seen it, the water looks incredible in this game.
Of course.
Very visually stunning. But yeah, you also have to guess the right pit to jump in towards the end, and that leads to one of these rip current things and water spouts. And it's not intuitive. You have to basically trial and error a number of them to find the right one. It's definitely not the last one because if you go all the way to the end, you can see where you got to get to with the exit door. But yeah, you can't just jump in the water there. It'll push you to the wrong place. So a little bit of trial and error maze stuff with that. And then scene 2 is like a Mayan temple or something in that vein. Incan temple. A lot of old stone architecture, waterfalls, hieroglyphic-ish carvings on the stones, etc. And the music here is pretty dope as well. This starts off pretty casual, but the back half is an intense. This is, again, I mentioned the one is a tough platforming. This is a tough platforming area too. Some of them are like, who the fuck knows where they are? Rogue water hazard deals, like the water will just come dumping down from above. From like,
what happened?
Yeah, no tip off. At least that I saw, no tip off at all, and that is tough. And then the platforms get very tiny at places too. They also tuck some behind semi-transparent water foreground art. It's not like you can see it if you got your fucking eye on the screen, maybe, but they're very well disguised. So if you're really, and the thing is with these tiny platforming shit, and the fucking water can fall down from above from anywhere, so you're trying to cook, so you don't have time to really okay, where's the next thing, you don't have time for that. So it's a good combination of things to increase difficulty. I died here once. I was sad when that happened. And then scene 3 is a passageways with an intermittently rising and falling river rushing through it area. And you have to inch through, jumping up to safety before the water rises to a depth that's capable of ripping you back a few screens, and it'll bonk you for some HP drain as well. And like every other Mickey animation in the game, his flail in the water when he falls in is carried away looks great and is so expressive. It's an amazing job. I know we've said it so many times already, but they just did such a good job of animation. The cartoon characters, you're trying to generate an emoting to this thing with a drawing. You're trying to get a human being to emote to a drawing. In these cases, they have a crazy limited number of pixels, and the job they do of creating that same animated cartoon response on Genesis hardware is fucking just really good, magnificent.
Man, this the stage before this, the jumping sequence was so legit. I thoroughly enjoyed it. This run up was difficult with the water rushing back and forth, but it wasn't difficult that you couldn't complete it.
Yeah,
but it was
I'm super
fun.
I play these games super safe too, so I would only go. I wasn't trying to do any cowboy shit. I would go to the next platform and wait. Next platform, wait. There's one at the end that pushes you even with that
regardless
system. Right, yeah. But generally speaking, if you played it safe, it was pretty cake.
Yeah, that I think that's the funny part, because the jumping sequence was difficult. This was it was easy. You just had to figure out what to do to get there. And then the boss was a piece of cake to me. I don't know about you, but I was wow, this. I beat him on the first try. Just pieced him up with the items. Didn't even try to jump on his head, I don't think.
Yeah, so. This was the first time for me as well. Yeah, the boss battle is the light at the end of this tunnel with the rising and falling water, and you are dropped into an arena it's got the same Incan temple vibes. There's a stone pillar. This is cool too. It's just so different, I think, than the other boss battles, but yeah, there's a stone pillar that rises up the right side of the screen, and then your adversary jumps down from the right. I would call it Creature from the Black Lagoon is what I thought of this. It's like an amphibious frogman type guy, you know?
Yep.
And he jumps fast and high as fuck or as you would expect a frog to do. And after maybe 3 to 5 hops, he will anchor to the ground and fire off a chain of replications of himself. And this is, again, very similar to the last one in that it's like the boss becomes stationary and then does this really quick and fast, redundant attack out to the sides. And it's a rubber band effect, you know what I mean? So he fires these replications of himself 3 or 4 instances out. Kind of looks like a paper doll thing, you know, out on each side of them, and they snap back once they reach their range length, which is maybe a third or a half of a screen from the sprite.
That is very detailed description, Josh. Are you saying you dealt with these creations regularly? Like,
it's so you can jump. This is what I found was you can jump on them, and that's how I started trying to tackle this thing. But to me, that was a fool's errand. I just wanted to avoid it, keep my distance, and when he roots himself down for a second for his range attack, pop a marble off to get a lick in. And if you land it, he'll crazy spin both directions, and again, you got to jump those. But then he flies back and knocks out one segment of the totem pole, and you got to do that 5 times, and then it's victory. You got the same look on your face.
I don't know how we had such different experiences here. Like, the minute he jumps out of the totem and lands, if you don't give him time to do anything else and immediately hit him with the marble, he will just spin through you. He can't even hit you at that point. He'll spin through you and just spin through the totem. Rinse, repeat. Like, literally, I didn't experience the mechanic because he would just pop down. I would hit him. He would just fly through you, fly back, fly through. Like, it was just like rinse, repeat 3 to 5 times, and I was done. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Jumping and dealing with replications?
I didn't see that opening. No, I was playing it safe.
Wow, different. Yeah.
God damn it. Yeah, it wasn't a first timer for me, actually. It says I wrote down I have a handful of tries, but I would call it slightly less difficult than the clown. Okay. Well, I wonder where this is going with the next 2 bosses.
We shall see.
Yeah, we shall see. The yellow gem and some praise from the game gods are your reward. You are a brave mouse. Continue on. You can't rest until Minnie is safe. Then it is back to the castle yet again, where instead of heading further to the right, he backtracks left as a stairway up appears, and he heads up to where you find the next room. The text for this reads, "Here's another door. What's inside this room?" Find out next time on Old Dudes Play Video Games, the podcast. After these messages.
We'll be right back.
Now on video for a limited time.
Hey, you're not gonna believe what I got you, Jake. Look, it's Fantasia. It's just for you. Well, all right, maybe not just for you. I mean, I gotta tell you, it's magic.
That's right.
Mickey, yeah. Between you and me, this was our only chance to get it, and I didn't want you to miss it.
Walt Disney's masterpiece, Fantasia. It's the perfect holiday gift.
Well, of course I got it for you. I'm your dad. Fantasia is ours forever.
That is a 1991 Fantasia VHS cassette release commercial, and there's a pretty fun angle on it. I dig it. A dad with his infant kid explaining that the only reason that they got this Fantasia VHS tape was for the kid, and it clearly... they make it very clear that the dad is actually the one. The kid's too small to care, and the dad is clearly fucking stoked on it. Yes. So it's a cool angle on that. While supplies last, I love that. As if Disney didn't, like, that's at the end of the commercial. If Disney didn't make a bajillion of those fucking plastic shell VHS releases for every Disney movie they ever made, you know. I actually just got. I went one of the film I produced. We did earlier this year. I think I might have been sending shit to the thread when I was there to you guys, but it's at this place called, not Whammo. God damn it. I'm forgetting the name of it now, but whatever. It's it's a small screening venue. It was just like a friends and family kind of test screening thing for it. Maybe seats 40 people. But the primary function of it, well, that is probably the primary function of it is a screening thing, but they have it looks like a video rental store from the 80s. There's shelves and shelves and shelves of just VHS cassettes. And, like, I didn't think I could buy them. I thought that it was just like decoration to make it feel this way, you know? And they had a whole section of VHS, like literally, dude, just a million of every Disney of one of those hard shell deals, you know? And I actually got Jab the Beauty and the Beast. That's the one he had when we were kids, and I assumed he didn't have it anymore. I was lucky enough for that to be the case, but I bought it there. But yeah, they had price stickers on them even, and I was like, I still didn't believe that you could buy them. So I literally asked the guy that running it. I was like, "Can I buy these?" He's like, "Yeah, what the fuck do you mean? Yeah, of course." I'm like, "I don't know, man. Like, it's LA. Like, LA, like, it's all too common in LA. You think you understand the purpose of the space you're in or what it's for or how you're supposed to behave there, and you're completely wrong." So, yeah, I just assumed it was like a really cool, really detailed, built out, not set design, but like, interior design situation,
Like, this is the motif you're going for.
Right, yeah. He's like, no, you can fucking buy this for sure. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Like, I couldn't even buy a freaking VHS tape if you gave it to me right now.
Play it, you mean?
I mean, yeah, I couldn't even play it.
Yeah, no.
Could not
I don't.
play it at all.
I do not have one either. I'm sure I've talked about it here before, but yeah, it was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago now. But I was trying to find a VHS player to digitize all my Bills cassettes from when I was a kid, and some other stuff too. I actually have some cool Disney stuff that my grandma recorded and shit. These like these mixtapes, grandma mixtapes. Okay.
Nice.
And I wanted to digitize all those. And yeah, it was a fucking thing, dude. I was like looking around on Craigslist and shit. Amy ended up scoring one. Like, she thought she had one in her basement. Either didn't work or she was wrong or something, and she ended up having to, like, one of her friends had one in their basement at their parents' house in New Jersey. It was like a whole fucking thing to get a hold of a VCR, because yeah, the ones on Craigslist were astronomically priced, dude. Yeah, it was fucking,
really.
Yeah, it was a whole deal. So yeah, VCRs are a funny thing to try to get a hold of these days. I don't imagine Jab has one. He might. I don't know. It's fucking Jab. You never know. But it's not about that. It's not about being able to play it. It's just about being able to hold it. I also got him. I got him that, and then there was, for some reason, I was somewhere, or I thought of them maybe, and I just Googled them on thing. But his birthday's on the 22nd, I believe, of October, so it just passed. That's why this is relevant. But in Captain Crunch boxes, they were one of the pack-in toys you could get for a while, probably early 90s, I would guess, early to mid 90s, early probably, and they had a few of the different characters, but of course Captain Crunch himself, and they were just like maybe, an inch and a half tall, maybe, just little figurines, Captain Crunch figurines. And I thought of that for some reason, eBayed it. Sure enough, someone's fucking selling one of them, so I ordered one of those.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean,
I immediately knew what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's obviously, I put in his fucking his disembodied Instagram account that I created for him. That's his thing. Is the Captain Crunch peanut butter versus Crunch Berries preference. So yeah, he was a big Captain Crunch enthusiast as a kid. So I got him that and sent him one of those, and then the Beauty and the Beast tape. That was his birthday gift. Pretty fun. So we're moving into the library now, and when Mickey opened the door, we could see some bookshelves, and that's because, this is a library, and the manual description for this reads, huge books and tall glass jars. This is a giant's room? ? Maybe, so you better watch out. Swing from lamps and hop over bookworms. Dive into a teacup and float with the sugar cubes. What's inside the milk bottle? Perhaps another world? Step in and have a look. And yeah, that was honestly my biggest thing was like, well, yeah, what's with the giant thing? Like, I don't know, why that doesn't pay off. Oh yeah, it does. The boss, I guess that's supposed to be a giant. I didn't think of him as a giant.
Dragon? Or what do you mean?
Oh no, the giant's the next one. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, the next boss is like the Candy River Dragon, I'm pretty sure.
Right, correct. So yeah.
What I call it, Candy River.
Because it's in a fucking Candyland place. We'll talk about that in a moment. Yeah, so this level, takes a pretty unorthodox turn relative to the established norm of the first three. We start in a library, but Mickey is on an individual bookshelf, and normal handheld objects, like it said, bottles, books, etc., are massive relative to Mickey, as if he's been shrunk. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't feel like that pays off, really.
Not really.
I mean, it is kind of... The toy room was kind of that, too, I guess. So maybe it's just kind of the deal, but... I know he's a mouse. So there are some bouncing letter A's after the first book that were easily the most difficult to deal with enemy in the game to date. Period, actually, in hindsight, perhaps. Even more so than those unicycle dickheads.
100%. Because they were unpredictable.
Yep.
I was like, I tried to...
Huge pain in the ass. Huge fucking pain in the ass, yeah. And all they do is jump too, but yeah, huge pain in the ass. And then there are some worms that were the opposite. They're super fucking easy to deal with, very slow and plodding. And you will quickly reach a milk bottle turned on its side that you can enter, like the cap's, it's uncorked, right? And you go inside here, and it's another level entirely. There is, it's, as I kind of just mentioned, it's Candyland is what I thought of. It's the board game Candyland. Yep. Cupcake and vanilla wafer platforming, so on and so forth. And this does, as I also mentioned, it has the parallax scrolling background stuff. It's like a Candyland city that made me want to jump into Sweetopia on Walkabout Mini Golf is very much what this is. And at the end of this is a green gem that's not boss gate kept. So again, this very turned on its head formatting, I guess. You get the green gem and the scene ends, and it just cuts back to a black card, like it has been doing for boss battles. And it says, "Take this green gem now. Try to get past ... the study room. Don't waste a second. Minnie needs you." And then you are transported back outside the milk bottle that took you here, back in the library, and. So it's kind of like a hub world kind of vibe, you know? And that is also not at all like anything we've done yet. So very interesting. The cork is now plugging up the neck of the bottle, though, so you can't go back in there. And you can get up to a platform that grants you access to a sequence of rope swinging. And this is where you really got to get down. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here's where you learn. Here's where I learned.
Yep. Yeah, it's patrolled by the biplanes. So, yeah, those move in that sine wave deal. And, yeah, you basically cannot avoid them. And... so it had me jumping prematurely off those fucking things when you did not need to, and or like going into frantic mode when you land to deal with all the stuff that happens right when you land. So yeah, you don't need to do any of that. You swing right through shit. You actually kill the shit you swing through. So you do damage to it on top of not having not presenting any danger to you. So yeah, pretty tough sequence follows that. Some rope swinging, through a biplane squadron to collapsing platforms run that is also a biplane shitstorm, and I went through quite a few times before realizing that thing, so that's redundant. I could probably cut all that out. Above that is a little bonus hidden stage inside of a teacup, and this was, I guess, a hidden thing I found that I don't think is required, or definitely isn't required. This one, a later one, is, I think, technically, in my opinion. But yeah, I strongly advise going into this one. It's not like a benign bonus area. There's a bunch of shit that can hurt you. It's underwater swimming too, so it's complicated. Like there's no to get those diamonds that do nothing for you other than points. So yeah, that is, I would recommend skipping those. Or this one anyways. After that, you arrive at a fork in the road a little further, and there's an upper route that is a pretty frustrating dead end, but does reward you with some bags of holding and life units or a much shorter one that sends you back down to the boss battle if you go down from there. And the reason the upper one is so shitty is because there's a ton of those fucking asshole A enemies up here. And did you even go up there?
I feel like I did, and then I kind of reverted and like went back and ended up going down instead. Like,
well, you have to go down. Yeah, it's a dead end up top. So
yeah, I don't think I went all the way because I'm watching a playthrough and I'm like, I definitely didn't go that top route.
Yep, it debatable because you do want your projectiles for the boss battle for sure. As many as you can take for this battle in particular, but I still don't know if it's worth it because it is a huge pain up here. Yeah. And yeah, the lower boss path is a much shorter, but another one of those rolling apple hills, and you can actually just cheese this too. In this case, you can jump in front of it, let the apple roll down, and then just go down behind it, so it's not even chasing you. So you don't even have to deal with it there. At the bottom of this is another teacup swim opportunity to go into. It's not as bad inside, and you do get projectiles at the end of this one. So, again, with the boss battle coming up, it's probably worth it.
Oh. I thought that was actually necessary. I just went into that one too.
Yeah.
I think in my mind, both of these were necessary, so I went in both of them.
Yeah, you just come right back up where you were. You definitely didn't. I don't see why you'd have to. I guess I didn't try to skip it, so maybe you can't get through the door, or the door's not there, or whatever. But
maybe not. I just went in it because I was like, hey, I'm
Right.
going to go in all the places.
Sure, yeah, me as well. So yeah, the boss battle goes down in another Candyland themed area. You're working with these cupcake platforms in the water, and then a huge sea serpent comes flying up from the water below in random locations. He'll fly up to a few different height levels, horizontal height levels, and then strike before rubber banding and going back down. And if you hit him with an apple before he starts the strike motion, or during it for that matter, he'll freeze and flash white, then just benignly go back underwater. So if you're good, this kind of harks back to how you approach the last boss. If you're good with this, you really don't have to deal with this bullshit. And that, in this case, I was smart enough to figure that out and employ it, and that was nice. I was pretty good, even on my first tussle with it, though I took a few bonks and it got me down to 1 life unit. But I was able to get a hold of the shit, and I was able to beat him the first time on my tango. So that was good.
Nice. Same for me. Pretty easy, except I ran out of apples.
I did, yeah. I ran out of apples. I had to bonk. That's why it was high. It was pretty high pressure. I was down to 1 HP. Yeah.
Yeah, I ran out of apples, but thankfully I only needed one, like, jump on his head to beat him after that. Because I was like, oh, this is so easy. I'm just like taking him out, and then I was like, I'm out of apples. What do I do?
Yeah,
but
it was for me. It was 3. I had 3 that I had left. So it was pretty. It had that like, ooh, get on your fucking shit, motherfucker. This is a boss battle, moment, that's cool, to have that heightened level of adrenaline from a boss battle is how it's supposed to go. So you kill him, the blue gem is bestowed, cut to the usual black card from there, and reads, here's the blue gem. You are a very strong mouse, but you will still have to do more. You still have more to do before you can reach Minnie. And then back in the castle, Mickey beelines up another floor and passes a few windows before arriving at another door. Reads, this is the last door. What could be in this room? And inside that door, we see some machine innards, like gears and shit, clock tower type stuff. And this takes you into the castle.
Now you're in the castle where armored knights attack and huge boulders tumble towards you. You're 1 step away from Miserabelle and Minnie. Don't give up.
Very ornate castle looking here. We finally are wielding fire with the candle projectile. And it is time to party, Miserabelle. Somewhat interestingly, you start with 1 unit of ammunition. That's never been the case before this. It's always been 0. I don't even know if you noticed that, but I
did not notice that.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Again, I don't know the exact... I mean, you do have you need those to really deal with those knights. So maybe it's just to, I don't know, just to ensure that you learn that or something with that first one you deal with.
Or maybe also to show you this is what your item looks like on this level. I don't know.
The candles, yeah, because you do have to grab the candles, and the candles could be construed as just...
Because I was thrown off when I saw candles. I was like, what am I... I was like, oh, I'm grabbing these. Like, I wasn't sure what they were at first until I was like, oh, they're filling up my item count.
Yeah, they definitely look more... as opposed to out of place, in place, than the other projectile pickups, no doubt.
Yeah.
Although, now that I think about it, like the apples were kind of casually placed in trees and stuff for the first level.
I'm thinking back too, like it kind of works now that I think about where they were.
But the marbles were not. You didn't just
Toyland.
Yeah, well, right, but I'm saying you didn't just find them like sitting around. They had bags of holding for all those. Am I right in that? There were no...
Well, but that would work. Bags of marbles.
Yeah, for sure. I'm simply saying that they weren't randomly and itemized or placed in itemized fashion the way the apples and these candles are. And I didn't realize that until now. I'm sitting here thinking about it. Yeah, I don't remember picking them up individually.
No,
definitely. Yeah, it makes total sense. I'm not knocking it. I'm simply saying it's just different. It's a different implementation. There's even more cool parallax scrolling stuff in here too, which is nice. And there's just a lot of really cool, challenging, dope-looking action platformer stuff here as you work down into the dungeon area. Nothing really highly specific worth discussing, just all good and cool and looks good. At the end is an unguarded indigo gem suspended above a pit you probably die in if you miss the gem when jumping down towards it. Like if you don't hit that gem and then fade to the gem text screen, you probably die, which is, pretty punitive, I think. And the text reads, this is the indigo gem. You need only one more gem. Go get it and save many. And then we go to scene 2, which keeps the dungeon aesthetic as you are immediately dropped into some water for swimming action. And you are dealing with a lot of current mechanics in here, or like current, not current water, not current time mechanics in here. And they denote them visually with air bubbles moving in the direction that you're working against or with, so you can strategically plan, which is good design also. The piranhas are chasing you in many of them, and like against the current, like if you have to swim up current, the piranhas are faster in the up current, so you have to time out how you get into those currents and make sure you have like some buffer to not get tagged, to not get bonked, I should say. That area is short-lived, though, and you head into the machination zone we saw through the doorway in the castle hub. And again, I'm kind of thinking this is a clock tower. That's the idea. And the music is very unsettling. Platforming your ass off here, as all video game clock towers go. All I can think of when I go through video game clock towers is how all this abstract machinery could never possibly power anything. Like, even a fucking clock. It's just like, there's just no way this, like, accomplishes any useful task, the way these things are set up. These just random gears and shit.
Who designed this?
Yeah, what the fuck is the point of this?
What waste of resources.
Yep, and there are bats, duh. The end run of it is entirely appropriate pain in the assery tier, but you then reach a doorway for some boss battle action to close out our stage-by-stage portion of the game anyways. And I think, when I was thinking this dude was a giant, I was like, that can't right. Like, I think this dude is the janitor. I think he's the castle janitor. He swings a broom at you, that's his attack, and he's like this big kind of hulking, doofy-looking dude. Right. And he is pretty imposing. He does this. He's entirely impervious outside of the moment he swipes at you with the broom. And it took me a couple of lost test runs with him to figure out you have that limited window. He seemed just invincible for the first few tries I took at him. And if he swings his broom, and it's like this very short, constricted motion, and then he kind of like, he has to like gather himself after he swings it, basically, and that's your window. And you have to do that same thing as you had to do against if you do it the dumb way, the clown, where you do a half jump to land the projectile. A full jump again will be over his head. So it's a pretty quick little tough, button depression fucking thing to work your way through. And actually, don't check that. That's a lie. Because, no, you still have to bonk his. You can bonk his head. It's better and easier, but you don't have many projectiles. So that's why I had to get to bonking, right? So, yeah, I came in, hit him with projectiles. Eventually, we have to get back to bonking. And the bonk window is particularly more difficult because you have a very limited time that he has that animation, that you can hit him with the head thing during. So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure I came in here with no weapons, so I wasn't even trying to.
Bonking.
Yeah, I mean, except for like the first boss and like the Candy Dragon, I was really on a head bonk kind of mission. And so with him, I did the same thing at first. I actually just used it as a test run. Like, okay, when is he able to be hit? Like, all right, can I hit him when he's jumping? Can I hit him when he's doing this? So I just, spent some time letting myself die to try. And I was like, okay, only in that window? Great. So once I figured that out,
CJ, how would you have done that if you didn't have safe scums? I think
you're
you
right.
missed.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think it's.
Well, I think I just approached it that way just because I knew I could just do that, and I was like, all right, there's clearly patterns in this, and I'm just going to keep it like that because I know.
Yeah, but I think if you wouldn't have done that test run, you'd have fucking just been in there just banging your head against the wall with no safety net.
I'm saying, let me clarify. I didn't approach it like that because I wanted to. I approached it like that because I had to. Because he gets close to you, and he's not able to be hit. Like I realized, all right. Once I
we didn't mention it, but he does this huge hulking high jump that he's also impervious during the whole time. So and when he lands, it's the ground rumbles, and I expected that to either hurt you or stun lock you, and it does neither, and that surprised me.
And even when you try to like jump over his head or something, when he's not ready to do his swing, he'll raise his hand and not let you.
I don't think I even
he
tried
still
to do
screws
that.
you up.
Okay.
So that's why I was like, all right, well, I can't do any of these things. I have to. Like, it was really, I figured out it has to be that one window when he's ready to wind up to swing. So,
Yep.
But yeah, once you get that, it's 5
post-swing.
bounces to the head and he's done.
Yep. Yep, wasn't easy for me either. I took some trial and error. Fee Fi Fo Fum holds the Violet Gem. This is the last gem, the Violet Gem. Now to save Minnie, you must fight the Witch Miserabel. Good luck. And then we go back to the castle. Mickey casually strolls off screen to the right after exiting the door and takes us inside or outside a crenellation-adorned tower. And McNasty walks up to the edge. We can see another tower to the right that seems unreachable and a beautiful dusk-lit mountain range in the background. Incredible pixel art here. He throws up all the gems into the air, this is the image I have behind me right now. He throws them up into the air, and then they form a rainbow bridge over to the other tower. And
Pretty
Mickey
cool.
crosses right over the rainbow like it's no fucking big deal and heads into Miserabel's lair. And this is where we find our final boss battle. It is a castle-y stone room with some verticality to it, a central pedestal on the ground, and then there are 2 pairs of platforms up above it. The first tier are bigger and at the extreme edges of the screen, and then the upper level of platforms are smaller and split the difference between the central pedestal down below and the lower platforms off to the far right and left. And this is where you have to tango with her. She is there on the pedestal waiting for you in her pre-transformation form. Minnie is captive in a bubble up above her / behind her. And there's some unique music in here. She tucks her face, Miserabel does, behind her cloak sleeve, then transforms from that haggard form into a huge sprite that looks to me to be what I remember the Snow White Wicked Witch looking like, and this kind of sitting
Right.
on a little bit of a Google deal. And so yeah, a quick Google turned up Queen Grimhild, and the name of said witch also had an old. This is the Snow White witch, I mean, also had an older haggard form in Snow White. That like the whole apple, the one who does the apple deal. You know.
Yeah, I was about to
in the
say,
court.
this looks very familiar to me
Yeah.
the more I stare at
Right.
this.
And actually, you know, I don't know if there is like a specific Disney animated feature or cartoon that this is like working from IP wise, so I don't know if this like story already exists and whatever, but this did remind me, I saw a really cool tweet recently about Disney animation. It was like it's a comparison of an exploration of how frequently Disney would use the exact same dancing animations.
I saw that.
Okay, yes,
yeah.
it is wild. So there's like the one with Baloo in, I don't even know what the other one is, but he's in Robin Hood as well, you know. And
Same,
it's
just doing the exact
that
thing.
exact same dance. And there's a handful of other ones where the characters are more not even the same, like and that the one I'm thinking of just because I know Baloo, but there was a few others that were like completely different characters. Like one was a monkey or an orangutan, and the other was whatever the fuck the other thing was. So like, but it's still the exact same animation. And I remind a couple of years ago, my New Year's resolution was to teach myself animation, and I fell off the wagon trying to do that on the very first book I read about it. But it was a very in-depth analysis of like the mechanics of animation and like the keyframes and like how animation works and kind of how you have to think about it to be able to create animated things that look right, because like there's all this uncanny valley stuff humans have in their mind about the way things are supposed to move if they're humanoid-ish, you know, or even not actually, just the way joints of a leg or an arm, like you have this very fucking programmed into you like what is right and what's wrong as far as your perception of that stuff goes. And animation is like, it's a science, being able to identify and create stuff that adheres to those expectations. And it made my fucking head hurt reading this fucking book about it. So that's what it made me think of, all this stuff. Very cool though.
Oh my gosh, this totally does look like the Snow White witch from the Haggard form to the transformed form. Totally.
Yep. So yeah, Disney was not shy about repurposing assets to keep costs down. It is a business. And so she beckons these teal-colored energy balls that circle and pulse around her for a few seconds, then fly out in all cardinal and intercardinal directions. I had to look that latter thing up, Jay. Did you know that's what the diagonals are called? Intercardinal directions?
I did not know that.
Yeah, there you go. There's your thing. I told you, every podcast, listeners, and perhaps
learn
hosts.
Something new.
Yeah, you're going to learn something new. Listen to the ISOH podcast. But so, yeah, she then flashes for a few, leading to her teleporting to one of the 4 spots in here that she will go to. She will sometimes go to that platform she starts on, or that pedestal rather, or she will go to either of the 2 edge platforms, the middle rows that are out near the edges, and then directly up above and between the 2 upper platforms is the last and far and away the shittiest place she will go. For sure. When she goes there, you're pretty much just in avoid mode. I would, at least the way I played it. So you are trying to bonk her noggin in the window between the energy balls flying out from her and the start of her teleportation phase, which when she does this, like after the balls fly and you have that little moment there, she starts flashing and then we'll go to the next place and the cycle repeats, right?
Then you can't hit her. Yep.
Right. So yeah, you can't do anything to her at any point other than that one little window I mentioned. And it took me quite a few failures before I'd learn that to be the case. And it also took me, like, it's funny because in hindsight I saw it, but I didn't register it. You can bonk off the flames. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't even try it.
Yeah, you can, especially when it's really helpful is when they're flying. After they fly. You can also, you can bounce off them when they're around her too, if you land on them, right? Yeah. And do the bonk. But when they're flying it, you can actually use them to get across the screen faster, to get to her, to get a bonk in before she teleports. And that is, to me, like, once I learned that, I still couldn't, it's hard, so I couldn't do it reliably, but it was definitely, it felt high level, being able to do it when the few times I was able to. So yeah, so the real difficulty here for me, in my fucking experience, was trying to find a way, and I still don't know if I did or not, but trying to find a way to influence her appearance location. Because it felt there was some tracking going on, but not necessarily like a perfectly reliable one. So, like, when she's in that upper middle spot, I don't think you can do anything, but like the side ones, maybe you can deal with. If you get if you can get her to catalyze there, jump over to the other one, and then ride one of the energy projectiles back over to her, you might be able to get a hit in. But like what I was really trying to do was trying to get her to go to that base pedestal, because then you can just go up to the top platforms and her head's right there down below you.
Jump on it.
Right. And you can just do if you learn the timing of her projectiles, you can just do a real easy jump to avoid the projectile and not even land again. Just move over after the middle one, the one flying directly above her or up from her, flies past, and just fly in below that and get the bonk in and go to the next platform. Or the other platform, the opposite platform. So, yeah, it was, I was trying to figure out a way to get her to do that. And I kind of think I found one. If I would go to the inner side of the middle platforms, the ones at the edges, and do the actual, like, Mickey's going to fall off the edge on the inside edge of it, I could get her to appear, like, on those fucking on the pedestal one sometimes, still not every time, I don't think, but that one felt kind of reliable. So that's what I would, once I was like, I had figured everything out, and now I'm just trying to beat her. Once I got into that phase of the process, that's where I would go every time, and that was the best experience for me. Doesn't take a ton. It's only 5 hits, which was less than I anticipated for sure. How much trial and error did you experience?
Only a little bit. I mean, I kind of, I realized, okay, once she has these what look like souls spinning around her, can't really hit her, so wait till they move out of the way, that same thing you just mentioned, that small window. So I also quickly realized, okay, if I get to the top on either side, but close to your point, like teetering off the edge, when she shoots them, I can't be hit during that spot. So I can just jump from there and do the bonk then.
Okay.
So
I was able to time out the projectiles well enough to like miss them every time. And like from every one of her positions, I figured out a place I could go
where you could be
reliably. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, once I kind of figured like okay, that's kind of where I want to be, and as long as she's in one of these spots, I can hit her from this angle. So it wasn't really that difficult. I was kind of surprised it was only 5 hits. I'm like, okay, it was more difficult run up, not a hard final boss. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I agree. It was like properly challenging, but not bust up some shit. Difficulty. So after that 5th bonk, the CPU takes control of Mickey, and he jumps down to the ground and tosses an orb up or something. Like I don't know what is that? Like, is that it's not the gems again? The gems are outside with the rainbow. So like, what is this
gems
thing?
Are done.
You don't get an orb from anywhere. I don't know what the fuck this thing is. Am I spacing on a story fucking plot point that or something? Like I don't remember what that would be. So that was interesting to me. But whatever the case. I don't know, right?
Maybe he's got the power of friendship now, and he
just something he carries around them. Yeah, I don't know. So he throws his orb up in the air, and it shoots something at her, or I should start spewing. I would say actually, they look pretty similar to her energy things, just smaller, and fly over, and they change her back into the Miserable, the haggard form of her, and then. The screen shakes, the mouse duo starts dancing and looks concerned, and then Miserable starts running back and forth kind of frantically. Like it seems like she tries to exit screen right and it doesn't work. She like bounces off the screen and then runs left off screen. And it cuts from there to a long shot of the castle. It's what's behind you right now. Miserable flies out on her broom, and Mickey and Minnie are hanging in the basket below. So now she's like on your fucking side. And there's no explanation of this or why that's the case.
Dude, yeah. I'm sitting here like, was she, did I miss? And she was like a good person at first and somehow now she's returned. What just happened?
Right. Right. Yeah. I was very confused. Like, why the fuck? I this is in my boss battle vid. Of course, link to that's in the show notes. And like, yeah, when she flies out and you're in that basket below her, I'm like, what is happening?
Like, why is she helping?
Yeah. Why is she helping? And then, so it goes from there. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Like it flies out of the castle. The castle's in the distance. She flies out from that background sprite off screen right, and then comes back in like very close up in the foreground, and starts flying left. And you go, the music's fucking playing and shit. The end theme plays, and it eventually fades from that to her dropping them back, Minnie and Mickey, back off in the forest. And she drops them off, doesn't offer an apology, an explanation, nothing. Just flies back off. Like
right? She almost like flies up and almost looks down at him like as if to say like
shit happens.
So that's what like, I'm out.
Yeah, shit happens. I don't tell you sorry about that. Whatever. Yeah, it's not even the sorry. Not even like the I don't give a fuck sorry. Like nothing. Very weird. But I guess Wicked Witches. Who knows what their expected. Social decorum would be, I don't know what witch school is like. Who knows? So Mickey and Minnie, or I should say Minnie, then gives Mickey a smooch that sends him falling on his face. Minnie must have elite tongue dexterity. Then they pick right back up where they were before Minnie was snatched up, dancing through the forest as the credits roll down below. And there are, I would say, far more credits than a lot of console action platformers have in 1990. I suppose the possibility exists that a lot of them are just Disney lackeys that demanded to be credited.
Who knows?
In some way, shape, or form. But it's also like we've said a million times how beautiful the animation is. So I guess it's not ridiculous to think that they put some added manpower behind it and it showed up in the game itself. So it fades after the credits roll. It fades to a black card where the end is written in cursive, and then that fades out as well. They then go the extra mile with a really cool post-credit button that I applaud them to no end for. It fades to a packed theater, and there's a red billowy curtain slowly lowering on the stage, and the audience is packed to the brim with mouse ears sticking up from the seats, and in the middle of the very front row, one of the mouse ears has a red bow with white polka dots in it to signify it's Minnie, right? Or to tip you off, I should say. And then once the curtain gets all the way down, Mickey and Minnie, Mickey is sitting next to Minnie, they turn towards our POV from those middle seats, and Mickey waves goodbye to us. And it's just really awesome. Really, really cool end button. I always talk about, do you pay me off properly for the work I put in on your video game? And this game does it in spades, I would say.
Library where you go through door 4, also known as track 16 for tracking home.
Blessing, Jay. No drama here. Just give us your praise and let's get on with our lives.
Will do. Yes. As I mentioned, I'm going to go check out this Xbox 360 era remake and see if I can still purchase it on the Xbox store since it was, available everywhere because I liked it so much. It was a great combination of, hey, things are crazy. I want to play this game. We committed to playing this game, obviously, but in a normal sense, I want to play the game and I want to, experience it and enjoy it. And I did. The graphics are great. The sound was great. The sound was quality. It's not like Mega Man tracks and stuff that I want to go jam to, but good sound, great graphics, good controls, all that good stuff. And it wasn't crazy difficult. Like I said, if you could read the patterns, you could work it and, as we mentioned, have different experiences.
Yeah,
so
incredibly enjoyable. That's that's probably the adjective that's best.
Yeah, I did not come away having those parts where I was slamming my hand against a table or angry and all that. It was just kind of oh, I enjoyed playing this game, which is what video games should be, enjoyable.
Yep.
So, yes.
I concur. Yeah, it checks all my boxes as well. The story is well built out, given it's a Disney cartoon property. Challenge, appropriate. I agree. Absolutely beautiful game at all times. The music is solid and huge soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And the final boss battle was appropriately challenging as well. Gave me that accomplishment feeling when I beat her, and then they rewarded me properly after the fact. So, it's just no question. Gets a blessing, and every box is checked. So. Yeah, very good. And I look forward to Fantasia, too, because I think that one is supposedly better, maybe, on the Genesis. So I look forward to playing that one as well when it comes down the pipe. So that's it for Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse on the Sega Genesis. Next up, we will do a random rags tangent into the inaugural issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly before getting back on the Nintendo Power Tip with issue 20. You can subscribe to the pod on the platform provided, whatever dumbass company that serves up your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on the podcast platform of choice, your podcast platform of choice, or any other for that matter. Website is nyehentertainment.com/ISOHpod. Email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com to tell us we're doing this all wrong or that you like it, whatever. Follow the pod on Facebook and or Instagram. There's a link to the YouTube gameplay videos playlist in the show notes. There's also the ISOH subreddit if you want to get down this on Reddit because you hate Mark Zuckerberg. And we don't have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to things that podcasters tell you to and would like to do so in our direction, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities. That's cool as fuck. ablegamers.org is where you can find them. T-shirts are on the website. They're dope. Jay's wearing one right now. I'm not because I need to get my bills juju right. And they're dope. Proceeds on those after pod expenses, of course, go to Able Gamers. Jay, what are your socials?
Gentleman JB without the second E. That is my gamer tag and where you can find me on the socials. So come find me. I like to play co-op stuff. So let's go raid some shit.
The Dungeons of Eternity specifically. And to find me for that, or to power wash together, I guess, if you want, it'll be because it's such a intimate experience. Just you.
Yeah,
It's
it's
only one. You don't only power watch with one person. So it would be interesting to power watch with disciples, but I'm down. If you want to do some Zen, if you want to Zen out together, by all means, look me up for that. And I am My Shift Key is Broke on there, the Oculus platform, as well as Instagram. And you can find me on Twitter to hear me fucking go on tirades about the Buffalo Bills' lack of offensive output this season at Josh Folan. Go Bills. Okay, bye.